Good morning, everybody. How we doing today?
Has anyone arrived yet? Ugh. Man, my fucking week has been a mess. I've been doing so many freaking things lately. I've not had time to even stream or do any editing today. It's just like, I'm having a time. Oh, shit, my controller disconnected already. No, I kind of need that. Alright. Let me just switch our music over. Ba-da-bum-bum-bum. Bum-bum-bum. Alright. There we go. I think I'm all good to go now, so we can start getting into the game. Oh, there I am. Hello. Oh, there we are. Alright, we start right in the middle of this fucking cross-examination. Because last week, my power went out. Oh boy. Be very careful not to, I don't know where I'm going with that. It's fine. So, I think I actually need to decrease my own volume here. The game is pretty freaking loud for me. Hold it! Oh, that was accidental, but sure. Alright. So before... we are just in the middle of doubting everything that these witnesses saw about Van Zieks. Because Van Zieks just entered the room, there was a signboard that was covering up the body, so he didn't see it. Then the witness opened the door and knocked over the signboard, and bam, there's the body. And then he fell on his ass and got a bloody handprint, like, right on the body, so... No, not on the body, but on the signboard. So you admit that it was the board you wiped your bloody hand on?
Admit it? What's to admit? It's there plain as day for all to see. A smashing print on my right hand.
Smashing.
Perhaps you wanted to hide that handprint. So you righted the notice board and pushed it into the corner, did you?
No. Imagine the weight of that great lump. Do I look like a powerful and well-nurtured man?
I mean, if you want to take the compliment, then I can say yes. Happy Father's Day or something? Thank you. As everyone knows, I'm everyone's dad here, so thank you for the happy Father's Day. Good to see you, Onyx. How you doing, dude?
Well, did you see anybody else moving the board?
I've got nerves of steel, I can tell you, but even I am my limits. There was a body on the floor in front of me, and the Grim Reaper himself standing over it. And there was precious little light inside either. My bottom lip was all a quiver.
In other words, this witness is unable to give definite testimony on that point.
Yes, so it would seem.
I forgot about that animation.
Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time.
Hold it! Hold on a fucking second.
When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks?
Yeah, what else? There's a priory school just around the corner, see? Those cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plan to blow their school to kingdom come. We endorse this. This is fine.
So I've been telling on them, letting their teachers know what they're up to.
Fucking snitch.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks off them. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to me to buy more. Everyone's happy, see? It's a scheme. Oh, she's a businesswoman through and through.
What's a racket?
Of course, and sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus to thank me for letting them know. It's a busy old life, selling explosives. Completely legal, too.
Venus is a guileful goddess indeed.
Well, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing, really. I'm ever so good at it. I don't think you want to say that in the court of law, miss.
Scary. The important point is, you didn't go inside the room when the inspector was killed, isn't that right?
Definitely not. Wouldn't have dreamed of it, would I?
Alright, I'll go back to that in a bit.
I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me, just at the crossroads of life.
What? You did go to see what had happened in the room, didn't you?
Oh, this snow street's my whole world. That's all I know, and all I know of it. I have to make it my business to know if I want to hold my sign up high.
So you did go to see what had happened?
It's not the destination that's important, it's how you get there, isn't it?
No, it's kind of important in this case. Did you notice the notice board in the room? Notice the notice board.
If you think about it, we're both the same species, aren't we? Both different members of the sign family. So if I'd spotted it, I might have tried to trip it up out of a sense of rivalry.
So you just see the notice board and just like, bah, fuck you.
You know, I kind of respect it. Someone really needs to tell you that you're Homo sapiens, not Homo sinians. Does that mean that you didn't notice the board?
I can only repeat what I said before. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me.
Uh-huh, sure thing, bud. Can you be more helpful, please? In which case, just who was responsible for moving the notice board?
That Reaper, I bet. He's got a face that screams bored.
Hold it!
Uh-huh. What exactly do you mean by that? Would you like to say it to the defendant's face in particular?
Oh, come on now. Don't tell us you've not noticed. He looks like he hates everything in the world, that fella. But not notice boards, they're the one thing he likes. You can see it in his eyes.
What fucking characters? I can't say I've ever noticed.
I'll tell you one thing for free, though. I've never took my eyes off that man on the floor. Or off the Reaper. Not for a second.
Sorry?
Well, I was that scared I couldn't. You never know what a feeling like that might do if you look away, do you?
Huh. If you didn't take your eyes off the defendant, you should be able to confirm categorically whether or not he was the one who moved the notice board.
That I can. The Reaper did nothing of the sort. I can swear to that.
Alright. Real helpful, dude. Thank you.
Couldn't have missed it.
Excuse me. That voice caused some shit to go in my throat. Ah.
Couldn't have missed it if he'd heaved the thing upright again and dragged him to the corner.
Right. Glad we cleared that up. What happened to the face that screams bored? I feel your pain, Kazuma. Alright, well, it changes anyway. Detective still died when we heard the gunshot. How do you know when? It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon that you all heard the loud bang, wasn't it?
Maybe the notice board fell over, or maybe it didn't. Maybe I fell over, or maybe I didn't. But the Reaper's fate is sealed either way because of that gunshot we all heard. So your fate's sealed too.
I don't think that's how this works, man.
My fate?
That's right. The defense is fated to lose. Jesus. Dude, are you sure that you didn't sustain some serious head trauma after that case? The prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot. So if I could just find some problem with that part of this story, it may be possible to change all our fates.
Of course. None of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it?
Not much to go on.
As you pointed out, Mr. Naruhodo, there's no question that the notice board was moved, so somebody must have done it. But it did happen after the event, so maybe Kazuma is right, and it's not relevant to the case.
I think anything that happens in that room within at least a day is relevant to the case.
But it seems to have been deliberately positioned so as to hide the body from view. So I feel sure that there's some deeper significance to all of this.
Yes, I know what you mean.
No doubt there are more clues to be uncovered. You're on the right track, I can feel it. So follow your instincts.
Alright then. So, back to... which statement was it again? Was it... this one? I think it was. I think it was Venus that needed to be questioned. Hmm. Okay, yeah, right here. Did something perhaps happen to you, Sandwich? Regarding this woman? Something wrong, Mr. Sandwich?
If I said it was, could we just leave it at that? Would that be the end of it?
No. Did Miss Venus's statement just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts.
I don't know if I want to hear him out.
Let's say there was a great liar, and that great liar said, without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm ever so good at it. Would those words of hers be a lie too, or the truth? In which case, she's not a liar. Oh, it's a hellish paradox, that one, don't you think?
The classic tale of one guy who only speaks the truth and one guy who only speaks in lies. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But it seems to me you're suggesting Miss Venus has been lying, are you?
What are you on about, old man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that, and I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and set them off. That'll give you something to tremble about.
I don't think death threats are allowed in the court, Miss Venus.
You have a startlingly disturbing mind behind that sweet and innocent face, young lady.
Yeah, who knows if she's like Dahlia Hawthorne's ancestor or some shit.
So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich?
Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Can you elaborate, please, sir?
Oh, but Blabbermouth here, heading for the room where the gunshots seem to come from. But there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten liar over there.
So who did end up calling the cops?
You mean to say that you did in fact betake yourself to the scene of the crime after all?
What'd I tell you, eh? I said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I?
Alright, but why? Why lie about that? Come on.
Yes, you mentioned it. Well, that revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it?
Who knew firecrackers packed such a punch?
So you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief.
Well, now you come to mention it. I suppose, perhaps. I do clearly remember climbing the stairs to the room, yeah.
Either you clearly remember it, or you don't.
Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this perjurious act later.
Alright, well, at least we have that going for us.
For the time being, you'll immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth.
Oh yes, my lord, of course. Maybe I did sneak along behind gossip and have a little peek into the room where it all happened.
Alright, and what did you see there?
You make a habit of lying, do you, Miss Venus? Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. If you want my advice, though, I take everything I say with a big pinch of salt.
Alright, but you did in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, didn't you?
Oh, please, as if I would. I can't think of anything more terrifying.
Come on. The truth, please.
Well, alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know?
Did you touch anything at the scene?
Oh, please, as if I would. I mean, there was a dead body on the floor.
The truth, please. Me and Kazuma just on the same wavelength.
Well, alright, just a bit then. I had to look to see if there was anything I could sell. So I did give the place a once-over, but it was none to write home about.
You are going to take evidence from a scene of a crime and sell it. Right, now I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you?
Oh, please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change is all I had.
The truth, please? Yeah.
Well, alright then. I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. So I blasted the flippin' thing. Sorry, flipped the blasted thing.
You're telling us that you did move the board.
I think that did slip out, didn't it?
Oh,
You daft bomb pot. Barm pot, that's a new one. Who is this thought? That's a great question. I think her name is the truth, please, because that's the only thing I'm ever going to be saying to her.
I don't believe it. The girl doesn't think. So, did you find anything then? Something that you might have taken, perhaps? The cell? Oh, please. I shouldn't be so lucky. Am I mad?
The truth! No! Please!
I might have found this old pocket watch under the notice board, I suppose. But a bit of junk like this can't be worth much if you ask. So it was you, was it?
You're the one what took it! Gina?
Young lady, may I remind you where you are? That watch there. That was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard. What big case he solved 10 years ago. The professor case, no doubt. Boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his grub to come at the pub. I see. I swiped it off him once and blimey was he upset. He gave me a right earful. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years. Polishing it, winding it. Meant the world to him, that watch did.
I have a feeling that there may be something more to that watch.
Possibly not the best thing to go diving for, then. It's not all that, though. I took it to Jabez's that night to ask how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it. Said it wasn't working. Knocked about and worthless, he called it.
Wait, so did it like stop when he was killed then?
Ah, I knew I should have lifted it.
Gina, come on! None of you are helping your cases. You all are fucking idiots. That watch must be submitted as evidence at once.
Oh, please, just so long as you promise to give it back when we're done.
It's not yours!
Not a chance. I'll swipe it from you if you try to get your grubby mitts on it again.
that's enough. And the watch to the bailiff forthwith.
Now, children, watch your manners. Fucking kangaroo court looking ass. Why is his voice somewhere FUD? Hey. They can't all be bangers.
Good lord. The glass appears to be broken.
More than likely it shattered when the inspector was shot.
It doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabez didn't want it. What a waste, eh?
Yes, indeed. It appears to have stopped at the hour of 5.
Exactly when the gunshot was heard then.
Which supports the prosecution's claim, of course.
Why is all the evidence stacked against us every time? Alright, Inspector Gregson's pocket watch that he wound without fail every single day. It's no longer ticking and the glass over the face is cracked. I think we should tinker with the watch a little bit.
Well, it would appear that the mystery of the moving notice board has been solved at least.
And as predicted, it had very little bearing on the case.
Now then, continue with your cross-examination, please, counsel.
Alright, well, I know what we have to immediately look at. Yeah, let me just... What can I all inspect on this?
The glass over the face is really badly cracked. Look. What a shame when the inspector clearly looked after it so carefully.
I imagine Mr. Sholmes could repair it, don't you?
Yes, I should think so.
He's very adept at things like this. A useful man to have around, in fact. A Mr. Fix-It.
But kindly remember that he's a great detective, Naruhodo, not an odd job man.
Well, I mean, if I give him £5, he'll do anything. Alright, nothing with the face. What about the little thing up top?
It's a tiny little stub sticking out from the small hole here. Look.
Yeah, that would normally be where the dial is, but the dial seems to have broken off.
I suppose there must have been a little knob or something on that for setting the time.
In that case, seeing as we know the inspector took such good care of this watch, it probably broke when the incident occurred, didn't it?
Yes, of course.
Which could mean that there's a small part of the watch still at the scene, maybe. Ooh. I know what this goes to.
Oh, there's a tiny little keyhole here. Can you see? Oh yes, that's probably for the winder used to wind up the mechanism. Looks a little unusual, don't you think? Yes, you need just the right key to wind it, I imagine.
I think I may know a key.
Why do I feel as though I've seen something? Something a bit like a key that's about the right size to fit in this hole.
Don't say anything, chat. Oh, thank you for reminding me. There we go. Appreciate that, Zip.
It would be wonderful if we had the key. Let's check carefully over what we've already found.
Alright, so I assume I just have to look at the little wind-up doll again. Alright. Where'st do it be? Right here. And turn that little knob.
Helmet, this charming policeman appears to be a little worse for wear.
Okay. Then manhandled. Twisted around for fun. There we go. Was it for? Oh man, I wonder. I wonder what this could be for.
Hey, Susato, do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Gregson's watch? Oh, yes, it could be. Let's try it at once. There's not a moment to lose.
Whoa, animation. And now it works just fine.
I knew it. A perfect fit. And look, the inspector's watch has started going again.
Ah, so it has obviously just not been wound up, that's all.
What is it, Miss Susato? Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all, I have a feeling it could have profound implications.
She's deep in thought now. Perhaps I better start thinking deeply, too. Naruhodo's never thought a single thought up until this point. He's just like, man, this thinking thing's kind of crazy. Maybe I should try it sometime. Having wound it up, it started ticking again. Right. Don't know anything. Got a face that screams bored. Detective still died when we heard the gunshot. Where would I present this? Not much to go on.
As you pointed out, Mr. Naruhodo, there's no question that the notice board was moved, so somebody must have done it.
But it did happen after the event, so maybe Cosmo's right and it's not relevant. Repositioned. Bro thought thinking was a scam? Actually, dude. I guess maybe still died when we heard the gunshot. Well, the pocket watch, I mean, I can present it there. We'll see if that works. We'll do a little scum, little save scum for the fans.
Objection.
Yeah. All right.
I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case.
Oh.
At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch.
Key. He does not know what a key is.
A key? Key? And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built.
What? Order, order, order. But counsel, the watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock.
Yeah, which is just when we heard that gunshot.
It is exactly the hour.
The time that was showing in the watch tells us nothing other than when it wound down. It's merely a coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, because Gina said that he wound it every time at dinner, so he probably had dinner at 5.
Objection.
Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshots at 5 o'clock. So that's obviously when this crime was committed.
Objection.
No, that doesn't hold.
Why not?
Recall what Inspector Lestrade said only moments ago. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his grub to come at the pub. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing it and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did.
Alright, so I guess it is just a normal watch. What a weird-ass key.
The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day, in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the timepiece on the evening before he died as well.
Yes, that would be entirely reasonable.
But if that's the case, You wouldn't expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day.
Oh, hi.
Well, how do you explain it then? In summary, the evening before the day of the incident, when the gunshot rang out in that room, the inspector was already unable to wind his watch.
You can't mean.
What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead.
Ugh. I can see him probably having died, like, at least a few hours before the incident even occurred.
Order, order! Council, that's the most extraordinary claim.
Objection.
Extraordinary isn't the word, it's absurd. You claim he was already dead the night before. Do you really think that Scotland Yard's coroner would have overlooked something like that?
How do you know? I killed him. Well, I mean, I guess we would get an innocent verdict then. We would do our job, just at a small price.
On that subject, there's something rather surprising. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report. The time of death is not noted.
That's right.
Wait a minute, you're forgetting that my legs went from under me when I kicked the door in.
What do you mean?
Like I said, I planted my hand in a dirty great puddle of blood.
Yes, so the victim's blood hadn't dried. It was fresh.
Catches on fast, doesn't he?
Objection.
Was it actually blood? But that blood could be explained in any number of ways. It could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured over the...
Does my learned friend think that fresh blood is available on every street corner? Well, I mean, all you would really need is pig's blood, and I'm pretty sure people sell... There are butchers in this time. They exist.
Well, it needn't necessarily have been human blood, of course. We've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human.
Problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities.
So then, a chicken's blood could have been used, for example. It's certainly a possibility that wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Objection.
We're just gonna say that you're shit at your job, and that's our defense. There are pigs you can steal, yes.
But the gunshot was heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon. That's beyond question.
Is it, though?
What?
Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called into question, it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't a gunshot at all. Oh, please, what are you trying to say?
Us lot know what we heard. It was a loud bang that came from that there room.
Now you listen to me. A street seller's ears are his livelihood. Sir, what are you doing with a whip? You are a sandwich board. Oh yeah, DNA hasn't been invented, yeah. Yeah, Mr. Gregor Mendel, he hasn't been here yet. No one knows. Alright.
I don't doubt your ears, sir, but all you can state with a certainty is that you heard a noise.
Huh? Explain yourself then, Counsel.
Noise that sounds like a gunshot could have been made with...
Yep, we are just completely lining up all the circumstantial evidence, just like, it's possible it wasn't Van Zeek's. We don't have proof, but it's possible.
Take that.
Something like this. The culprit could have set off one of those to fake a gunshot.
Good gracious, the very fireworks that are sold by the witness.
Now hold on a minute. Are you saying I did it? My pretty little firecrackers only make a little pop anyway. See? That's 100 of them together. The Venus special that you sell for 600 pennies sounds like this.
Bang. Yeah, no sound effect for that. Either that or it was because I accidentally pressed it too fast. Oh well.
As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact.
You're trying to suggest that somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene.
I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day, and sought to implicate him by creating a sound that, like a gunshot, for these peddlers on Fresno Street to hear.
Objection.
But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was a gun or a firecracker, the only person present to cause that bang was Barack Van Zeeks.
One whiff of a match and my firecrackers go pop. See? It's why people like them.
Well, I mean, someone could have literally just thrown it in the window or some shit. That window was just, like, boarded up.
I fear for your fingers, young lady.
Objection.
Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learned of a very useful invention indeed. Something called a time bomb. Where did you learn about that, Naruhodo? Good heavens, a bomb? Yes, a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like. Mr. Naruhodo, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead to yet another international incident. Oh, no, wait, it's the whenever you like part that's important. Time device. Yes, exactly, a time device. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene.
Literally, all of our fucking defense is just like, this could have happened. Maybe it happened. Yes, Killer Queen, yes.
By Zadasto! A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit had left. Your extravagant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a time device was employed to create the gunshot sound?
Well, I mean... Huh. Oh, that's devilish. Oh, that's so cool. Using a candle as a time device. Yeah, that works. Like, you could have literally just put a hole inside the candle. You put, like, the wick of the bomb, like, inside it, and when the candle burns all the way down, then it would set it off. That's kind of sick.
Take that!
As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles in this candelabrum has been blown off. Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet, which presumably passed through the victim. I don't think that's possible, my lord. Not possible. Why? Because of the scorching. There are gunpowder scorch marks clearly visible in the broken candle. There are? Goodness, yes! But is it not the case that there was also scorching on the victim around the bullet entry wound?
Alright, I'm gonna need to take one moment. I need to go to the bathroom, like, really quick. I just went before stream started, but at the same time, nature calls. I'll be back in a Alright, I'm back. Where did I put my controller? Oh god, oh fuck. Oh, right there. Come on. Oh, that's autoplay. History. Okay, right. So.
Was it not the case that there was also scorching on the victim around the bullet entry wound?
That's right, there was. But as we heard earlier, scorching like that only occurs when the target is at very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun.
Oh!
Which means that the scorching on the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot. You're suggesting it came from the fireworks?
How could that be, eh?
The fact that there's such visible scorching on the candle suggests that the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded. Or to put it another way, the candle and firecrackers were joined together. Yep. The culprit somehow attached the firecrackers at a point partway down the candle. After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burnt down along with the other two, until eventually it ignited a fuse of the firecrackers, generating a loud bang. And that is how these three witnesses came to believe they'd heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock. Yeah, but that's also very hard to believe that it was timed so well so that Van Zieks would be in the room at that time.
Well, what's a plot? And this implies that the victim could have died earlier than we've been led to believe. The previous day, even.
Now just hold your horses. All his light here saw the victim going into the building, remember?
I couldn't forget that flame-colored hair, even if I wanted to.
The person you saw entering the building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this. Obviously, anybody can wear a wig. So the person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else wearing that red hairpiece.
Someone else? Do you mean to say?
It was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick. In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer. Oh, very impressive, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Who are you, Francisca von Karma now? Referring to us with the full name? Kazuma? I'm really quite amazed you've come this far. But after all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the makings of a great defense lawyer? I mean, he's praising me. I also noted the lack of a time of death in this report, a stark omission. But as far as I'm concerned, this whole country's justice system leaves a lot to be desired. God damn. Well, I mean, I guess you're allowed to. I guess you can just say that. Well, I mean, considering the fact that your own justice system is also, like, kind of shit. Like, even behind Britain, that's, yikes.
Order, order, order. Prosecutor Sogi. What on earth do you mean by that statement?
I hear that many of the leading members of Britain's judiciary are present to observe this trial today. So we cannot allow even the slightest doubt to be overlooked. The defense's assertion about the time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture. But, while the possibility exists that my learned friend may be correct, we have a duty to explore it.
Well, certainly. I would agree with you.
And what immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing and where did he go on the day before the incident? Do you know? The inspector always carried out his investigative work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland Yard.
Even within the yard?
However, considering the evidence we've been presented with so far, I'd say it's fairly apparent what case the man was pursuing. Wouldn't you, my learned friend? I do have a feeling about what case he might have been investigating. Yes, I agree. Surely. Well, that's the thing, is that all we know is that it's about the Red-Headed League, but we don't know what specifically he was looking into regarding that. My lord, the defense believes it can explain to the court the case that was being investigated by Inspector Gregson at the time of his death.
Very well, counsel. Present your argument to the court. What evidence is suggestive of the case being investigated by the inspector on the day prior to the incident?
Probably the red wig.
Take that!
I believe this red hairpiece points to the answer. We might assume it was part of a disguise used to carry out an undercover investigation. Surely not. Such a brightly colored hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable. Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely have made him stand out in a crowd. Except, that is, in a crowd of gentlemen from the Red-Headed League. The Red-Headed League? So, we'd already worked it out. What on earth is this all about? Is there such an extraordinary league of gentlemen?
Extraordinary. They all have red hair. Amazing. Uh-oh, he's brought out the tomes.
The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for a grand deception. A deception of what nature, counsel? They've been targeting red-headed men across all of London and tricking them out of small sums of money.
Oh, so is it like a pyramid scheme?
2 men were arrested for the misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact. My lord, the defense calls for those 2 men to be summoned at once. 2 redheads?
We might also be able to drag Holmes to the stand, considering that he was the one who got those 2 arrested.
Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using this hairpiece, so it's very likely he had direct contact with these criminals. And it's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events. I concur that we cannot in good conscience leave this new avenue unexplored. Well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, it's another possible line of inquiry for us, at least. Prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring these 2 Red-Headed League conspirators before me, Prosecutor Asogi.
We have no proof that they ever interacted with Gregson, but it's just like... They can literally just play dumb and we'll have nothing to do with them.
At once, my lord. Very good. We'll have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned.
Is 30 minutes enough to bring him over from prison? I mean, I guess. To be continued. Man, I'm still thinking about the candelabra trick. That's so cool. I completely forgot about the fucking scales on this tablecloth. It's just like, what odd decoration to go with. I mean, I get it. It makes sense, but it's like, it's not very subtle, is it? 2nd of November, 12:33 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber.
Oh, there you are, Odo. What kept you, my dear fellow?
Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Gina?
You sure about what you said in there?
That the boss,
You know, actually died the day before. It's pretty hard to swallow. Yes, I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina.
as was I. Possibly more shocked than both of you.
It's not a competition, Mr. Sholmes.
I was more shocked than all of you put together. This is the autopsy report in question, is it? Yes. It's strange that there's no time of death noted. I suppose there's a simple explanation. Or perhaps it was a deliberate omission.
Oh dear, if it was deliberate. It puts me in mind of the last case we worked on, and Dr. Scythe.
Yeah, no kidding. More corruption to deal with. Oh boy, my favorite. I love when media jury rigs new tech shit in old-time settings. Yeah. Honestly, just using the tools available to the storyteller to make something nuts. I always appreciate it. I love it when there's, like, crazy steampunk tech in media, but it just makes sense within the confines of the world. It's just like, oh, it's my absolute favorite.
I know. Anyway, it seems that on the day before Lord Van Zieks discovered his body, Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, so perhaps something happened with them. Come to think of it, you had trouble with those League men too, didn't you, Mr. Sholmes? You were taken in by their trick. No. Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as you put it. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income.
So you were gonna be scammed.
And that scent masked the underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The two criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? In Mr. Sholmes' suite, I mean.
That's right, Zeus. It was me what took him in. Thanks to a tip-off by a good law-abiding citizen.
Indeed, yours truly. Law-abiding citizen. I don't think any of those 3 words are true.
So it's going to be that pair in the witness stand next, is it?
The wailing.
Right. Something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Why would the inspector have been investigating them?
Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth hound interest was piqued by the rare scent of a weekly four-found income. Sholmes, not everyone can be like you.
Don't arm with the same brush as you, Sholmes.
Yes, well... Then there's the whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Van Zieks for some reason. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Van Zieks.
How are these all connected? I need to bring out the board and some pins with string. And Kazuma.
Feel as though we knew we arrived at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right. What's he really trying to achieve here today?
All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly.
Yes, you're right. Kazuma was determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial. And he was determined that I should take the defense. So what is it that he's hoping to make me see, I wonder? I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet.
And, I mean, we're probably a day or 2 off, at least.
Are you ready then, Miss Susato? Yes.
Hi. 2nd of November, at 1 p.m. at the Old Bailey courtroom. Oh, everyone's yapping already.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Brock Van Zieks, here present, who stands accused of murder.
Quick recap for everyone.
Now then, Prosecutor Sogi,
My lord?
have you summoned the witnesses as requested?
Yes, the 2 members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage.
Very good. Bailiff, smack their nuts! Usher the 2 men into the courtroom.
He just brings pasta with him? Goddamn. These 2 men are being currently held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may omit your occupations, but state your names now for the court.
I am Fabien de Rousseau, a descendant of the great de Rousseau family from Nice in France.
And my name is Peppino De Rossi.
So, you're going to have the Italian constantly eating spaghetti and is also overweight. Shoot, Kumi, you're not really helping with your stereotyping here.
I am the 3rd son of the great family De Rossi, the landowners from Napoli.
The 2 men first became acquainted at a boarding school for European nobility. Those who graduate from Tennessee are the future leaders of Europe. But, do you have any idea how boring it was to be born with noble blood? Alors, I make it my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little gray cells of my brain.
So in other words, by creating scams.
That is all I am trying to do, huh? So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception you've been carrying out? Oui, you could say that.
Not bad, eh? It's the grand ideas, but the petty plans. The strange combinations are the charm of the hilarious brothers.
Hilarious brothers. Unbelievable, you 2.
See, couple?
He's so ready to be done with them.
Listen to me, Peppino. I have 2 things to say to you.
Che? Are you about to tell me what you got in the anecdotes? Evviva!
Firstly, I want you to stop calling me this couple. And secondly, we are not the hilarious brothers. This is serious business.
Che bello, there it is, the couple's trumper card, the furrowed brow. is deep, O capo. The furrow and the meaning of your words.
I have no idea how to make an Italian accent. I'm doing my best here. Are these people human? Oh wait, British. These guys are European. They're even worse. They aren't even in Britain.
The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true?
Oui, c'est ça.
But what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you planned to defraud?
Allah, I will explain it. No, capo. Leave it to me. As you see, we both have the vivid red hair, no? At school, we were teased for this without pity. The capo here, he was many times behind the schoolhouse, crying like the Trevi fountain. Jesus, out in this man. Where's those dogs? One day the world will respect us redheads. Every night, he would bury his head in his pillow and weep for the injustice.
Sabiam people, enough! I will explain the rest. The first step was the newspaper advertisement. But 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the same notice in every paper in London.
So, wait a minute. I thought these two were just like kind of drunk, grunts. Not drunks, that's me. But no, they're actually like the leaders of this operation, goddamn.
Yes, we saw that notice. It was this one, I believe. Entitled to the Red-Headed League.
Oui, c'est ça. I'm honored that you have seen it.
It states that the only condition for joining the league is having flame-colored hair. And that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted into the league, you could receive a weekly income of £4.
On the day specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at a park specified in the advertisement. And from each person present, this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. I see now. I see the scam part now.
And with the money to France. It was a plan most elegant, huh?
No, it was most dishonorable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anybody was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick.
Park was described by one witness as choked with red-headed folk like a coaster's orange barrow.
And the day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered. Crucially, these two men spoke face to face with every single person present that day.
Oui, I've seen more red-headed people in one day since I was seen the rest of my life.
I guess in that way, that is kind of amazing.
Si, and now, every time I see the couples here, I feel sick to my stomach.
Anyway, why have we been summoned here today?
Sorry?
The date for our trial is not until tomorrow, I was told.
Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They've only been shown this photograph.
Very good.
I don't like that photograph. Makes me feel sad.
So, Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph.
Of course, we are always ready to help with the law.
Are you now? Or are you always ready to dodge the law? The man in the photograph.
We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assembling the park on Lime Street that day.
But I don't recall the man in this photograph. I couple?
No, I don't remember him. Obviously, he's dead now, but I assure you, he was not in the park.
Aloha, this victim has nothing to do with us.
You have a lot to answer for, Peppino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place.
I think he might have been better doing this on his own than bringing along Peppino de Pizza. Alright. You've given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain?
Oui, I'm quite certain. We did not interview this man.
Nobody looking like this came to the park. This I can promise.
It must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances.
Ufa, with this attitude, we get to nowhere, huh?
He's really
sulking now.
This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated the day before the incident. It reads, Lime Street, Red-Headed League, undercover.
Ah, I have the answer. maybe there was another similar event in the park on the day in question, aye?
That is ridiculous. There is no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League.
I don't know. I would think that he would have more important cases to look into than just the Red-Headed League, which randomly appeared in the paper.
Which means it's quite possible that that's when he was killed.
Very well. The defense may proceed with the cross-examination now.
Yes, my lord.
I do not believe these gentlemen.
We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assembled in the park on Lime Street that day.
I'm amazed that there are even 1,000 redheaded people in Britain in this time.
1,000 people. That's a very big crowd. It was quite a spectacle. Redheads had come from all over the capital.
See, the couple here has a magnetismo animalia, yeah? Nobody else could attract so many people. If I could be born again, I would be the couple. You can just do this yourself. You can scam people yourself without any other help. Let it be known, you can scam people and nothing will go wrong.
All those people wanted was the money, Peppino, the £4 per week.
Are you suggesting that you spoke personally with all 1,000 applicants?
Oui, that we did, because every one of them paid us 5 shillings.
I mean, this literally just sounds like the fucking Charlie Brown with Lucy setting up the fucking therapy booth. 5 cents. Give me 5 cents and I'll listen to your problem. 5 shillings and I listen to your redheaded problem. We take out their names and we take out their money, and we take out their addresses as well. I tell them we take us some days to let them know by a post, if we need to, maybe 2 minuti a person. We start early in the morning and we stop late in the night.
So, you earned 5,000 shillings in one day. That's a small fortune.
Who'd have thought there were 1,000 such gullible redheads in London to start with?
When Fume was a great detective with chemically altered hair. Fair enough. But I don't recall the man in this photograph. A couple?
Hold it!
He doesn't look at all familiar.
No, I don't think so. And this is a wig, He was trying to trick us. I do not like the people who are trying to trick the other people. Who's gonna tell him, chat?
Says the con artist.
If between them they interviewed 1,000 people with red hair, it would be unreasonable to expect them to remember every face.
No, senor. I may be small, but my memory is very large. I never forget a thing. I mean, considering the size of your head, I can believe that. In my opinion, I do not think this man was in the park.
But he's not going to give the court definite, it seems.
Hey, Capo, you didn't see a man like this, huh?
No, I don't remember him, and obviously he's dead now. But I assure you, he was not in the park.
Hold it!
But according to what you've said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day.
Oui, that's true. My eyes were burning by the end of the day.
Surely then you can't actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present?
Normally, the red hair is very distinctive, but not when you have 1,000 redheads crowding around. Then it's just an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could give us, then maybe we would recall.
That is not the line, Peppino. Remember, we do not remember him.
We are sure of that fact. No, you're going off script, Peppino. We're supposed to say we don't remember.
There was a man with a red hairpiece, but his mustache did not match the color. Then I do not think I could have forgotten him.
Cosmo said these two had only been shown that photograph and they'd been told nothing else at all. What if I fed them just one other detail about the victim? For example,
his fish and chips. Tell me about his fish and chips.
I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that the man was always munching on a packet of fish and chips? Do you remember a man who's eating incessantly?
Not really. I was looking only at the heads of the applicants. I wouldn't have noticed the fish and chips any more than the caviar or smoked salmon.
Oh, the spaghetti. Me, I love the spaghetti. Yeah, we can see that, buddy.
Really, I had no idea.
Tell them again what you have said before, Peppino.
Si, capo, si. I say it again and again. Alright.
Let's go through the other answers. I also like the fact that it's just so many redheaded people. They're an eyesore, while they also have redheaded heads. All right, what about his profession? Like, he's visibly a detective.
I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that the man in the red hairpiece was actually a detective?
The man is a photograph, a detective.
Yes. It would appear he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito.
Sorry, but this changes nothing.
Are you sure about that?
Excuse me.
Peppino, please rat on him.
Something to add, Mr. De Rossi?
See, I am always adding something. Parmesan, olive oil, pepper.
What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance?
Eh? What did he just say? About the detective?
Yes, that. Keep your mouth shut, Peppino. You have said enough already.
But the why couple? What is the problem? There was a man who said, I am an inspector from Scotland Yard. What?
Good lord!
Oh, and of course Peppino's standing on a box. So, he said he went undercover, and then he just immediately said he was from Scotland Yard. Gregson, what are you doing, my guy?
Explain this volte-face in your testimony, witness.
It's simple. The man who was at the park said to us that he was an inspector.
There was no such man.
Hi, die. What are you saying, couple? Have you forgotten, I
have forgotten nothing. Nobody likes this came to the park.
Basta, couple, basta. You beat me into many things, but not two. The memory and the meals.
De Rossi's so fucking stupid, thank God. Is this historically why people don't like redheads? Perhaps. Perhaps these two just ruined it for everybody else.
Like I said, when it's time to eat the pasta, no one is a faster.
But you are inferior to me in every other way. So shut up.
Objection.
I'm included.
Ugh. Drop tart. The damage is done.
I don't think you're allowed to say that word, DeRusso.
Indeed it...
Wrong accent.
Indeed it is, sir. Louis, there was a man who came to the park and he said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard. However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. It was someone else.
How can you be so sure?
Because, to start with, his face was completely different.
See, it's true, it's true. The man who came was a younger. His face was clean shaven, his eyes were sadder, his chin was thinner.
No resemblance whatsoever, then.
I don't know, I think that Gregson has a pretty thin chin himself. Like, let's just look at this man real quick. Well, it's more like he has no chin, I guess. Man, we have so many people in here already. 3 pages of people that are all relevant to this case. That's kind of crazy. Man.
Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, if you are really a detective, show us the proof.
See, the couple here, he doesn't take no nonsense, eh?
But he was well prepared. He said he had identification.
Identification? You mean official police inspector's identification?
He had a badge.
That is most unconvincing.
Ah, goddammit. It's so hard switching between all these voices like all in a row. It's just like, all right, what's the judge voice? What's Ryunosuke's voice? What's these two Chucklefuck's voice? What's Asogi's voice? Ah.
Sorry, my lord.
Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question.
Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity?
Clearly the papers were fake.
Certo, capo, you are a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another, eh?
And what happened after he had announced that he was a detective?
Oh, they're talking about Holmes. They're talking about Holmes.
He became very annoying. He said, you're under investigation. So I took his papers from him and chased him out of the park.
It was fantastical. And look, here's the identification.
So you stole it from the man?
He had it coming. He made us very scared. But he was not who we said he was.
Indeed, the person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence.
But I like them. I think Holmes might want him back.
Now, let us return to the witness's testimony.
One moment. I just got a Metropolitan Police warrant card. None on the back, at least.
Well, I suppose we should see what this inspector's identification looks like inside.
Oh, not even a picture in there. It's just... This actually looks official. Holmes, what have you done?
Yes, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it?
It does?
Out of interest, what name is given?
Probably just something plucked out of the air.
It's Tobias Gregson. Wait, what?
Are we sure?
Scotland Yard insignia. Looks genuine to me.
How?
Department identification number details are all correct as well.
Since when have you known those?
Do you mean to say? No, it seems incredible, but yes. I think this is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard.
That's unbelievable. This is the real thing after all. Did Holmes just steal this from Gregson? Honestly, that I couldn't believe that.
Johnny on Bosch be like, I'll be honest, I don't remember what Johnny on Bosch did. I do not remember too many about voice actors. Alright. Let's return to the testimony.
Allora, this victim has nothing to do with us.
Hold it!
But we only have your word for that.
See, but what else can we do, huh?
True. Yeah, we need stuff to disprove him.
Uffa, we are not having much fun these days. First we are arrested, then we are shown the horrible picture of a dead man. I know you question every single thing we say. We are the victims here.
I think you're the scammer here. You, Narukami, Adachi, Zero, Jonathan Joestar. Kind of British then.
Hi, couple.
No, you were caught carrying out a plot to swindle hundreds of innocent people.
You have to bring that up, eh? It's not fair. Hi, couple.
Si, senor. You have a lot to answer for, Pepito. It's your fault that we got caught in the first place. All right, just give me the banter. That's all I want here.
What do you mean by that?
Cavolo, you promised not to say. Hi, couple.
After we had taken all the monies that day, we should have left the country. That was my plan. I left the purchasing the tickets for the ferry to Dunkirk to my companion here. But he bought them for the wrong day.
Oops.
See, but it's an easy mistake to make, huh? The 31st?
Bruh, the 31st? The Mountain Phantom Blood sounded like he said, "What did you do to me, Arena?" Because British accent.
What did you do to me, Arena? Both, I have no sympathy for you. We were an all day late for the boat because of your stupidity. And it's only because of this that the so-called great red-headed detective caught us.
Couple, you know what I think? This is a work of God. It's a holy punishment, eh?
Yeah, the Italians are Catholics.
Peppino, for the last time. This is not only punishment. This is only your fault.
Ah!
Don't blame God for your unholy mistakes. You are making me sick with anger.
Maybe I make a mistake, but when it's time to eat the pasta, no one is the best.
He eat the pasta, chat. He eat the pasta.
And I've seen the evidence.
Oh, man. It's so stereotypical, it hurts.
They haven't told us much we didn't already know. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if it was in the inspector's diary, it seems likely they must have gone to Lime Street that day. Yet these two both claim they didn't see him. I have to say, they don't appear to be telling lies. But they are experts in deception, don't forget. Sounding plausible is their specialty. Maybe lying simply to avoid being implicated in this case as well. Surely if they were truly experts in deception, they wouldn't have been caught.
Fair enough.
Well, yes, you do have a point there. Seems to me like we need more information.
Water.
Definitely.
Okay, just out of curiosity.
Hold it!
There was one more option I could have picked here, so I would just want to see real quick. Yep, eyesore. His name.
I can certainly appreciate that knowing the man doesn't help. That the man's name was Gregson.
The man's photograph is the Monsieur Gregson.
Yes.
Names, they're boring. I did not listen to any of them.
Oh.
It was not a real interview, huh? It was just for the show. Why would I remember the names? That's right. This changes nothing. The man's photograph was not there, as we have already said.
I see. It seems there is little to be gained from pursuing this point further.
Tell them again what you said before, Peppino.
See, Capo, see. All right. So what do we have to work with now? Had more than 1,000 people assemble. Don't recall the man in the photograph. Not in the park. Nothing to do with us. Huh. Well, we have proof it was Gregson, but... Huh. I'm just gonna press real quick, because I remember there was one part where... DeRossi took over when I pursued him.
Hold it!
And I don't think I ever let that conversation fully play out, so I'm gonna check real quick. I tried all the options there.
Hold it!
Oh, right. It was this one after I select detective that I did pursue. Okay, so his profession. No detective, came to the park. See. Man, come incognito. He wouldn't have said I'm a detective. Okay, and that's just normal now. Victim has nothing to do with us. Maybe I just present it here because you guys stole Gregson's thing? I think that's the option here. Alright. Real quick save. Ba-ba-ba, booey.
Objection!
You do know this shithead.
I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Miss Lestrade?
Alright, why Miss Lestrade?
What is your intention here, Counsel? Is this really a fake or is it genuine? That's the question, which we can't answer ourselves.
Objection!
Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective would allow his or her identification to be stolen. Well, do they have female detectives in this era? Is that allowed? Because I'm pretty sure that even in like the year 1899, they're still a little behind right there. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, dear. That is the boss's. No question about it.
It can't be.
As I suspected. The undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed League's enrollment on the day in question, misspelled of enrollment, cringe, was the real Inspector Gregson, carrying out an incognito investigation.
Well, not necessarily incognito.
The law!
He's just falling on his ass. I love they modeled that.
Order, order!
What if the boss says identification stolen? You would report it straight away. I mean, he was always on at me about it. If you lose something, report it once, he'd say.
Could it be, then, that the inspector was physically unable to report it?
Physically? What are you saying?
Unable to? You're not suggesting. Yes, it's quite possible that he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen.
No. Yeah, so he was killed on that same day then.
Order, order, order!
Defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that?
I know nothing. I know nothing. Where?
Pull yourself together, Peppino. Mon Dieu, you can behave a little more like a master criminal than that, no?
Where? Now I wish I had a return to Italia. Where?
Just stop crying, Peppino, please.
Otherwise, He's emotional as well.
Lewis, stop your whining and start talking.
Well, I believe the court will need to hear your story in considerably greater detail.
I know nothing. Where? I don't know nothing. Where?
Yeah, shut up.
But you will tell everything, or face the worst possible outcome.
Oh, these guys suck.
You will dry your eyes and testify again. About these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them.
Where? Crying out loud. Oh my god. I am managing a circus here. I feel like this is more of a circus than fucking Turnabout Big Top was back in Justice for All. Alright, one more. The detective and the identification.
The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him for the night at our secret hideout.
Oh, come on, guys.
Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case.
We took the man's identification from him and shut him in the room next to ours.
There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm. And the next morning, we let him go.
He spent the night in a nice room. It was nothing like prison, really. So you were able to not only kidnap him in like broad daylight in a group of 1,000 people, which is kind of impressive in its own right. Unless they somehow found a way to like lure him away. But at the same time, like they did the whole fucking thing. So did like Gregson just wait patiently until they were done asking questions to follow them and then got fucking trapped? And Gregson has a gun. He just let himself get trapped.
This is outrageous. You imprisoned the man.
But no, see, no. It was not like a prison. It was a very comfortable and calm and happy. A couple?
It was never part of my plan, I swear it.
Uffa, so you think it was my fault, eh? Just because I got the date to the ferry wrong? Just by one little day.
I do not think it was your fault, Peppino, I know it.
No, por favor, Capo, it's not the fair.
You shall have plenty of time for squabbling back at the prison, gentlemen.
Oof, I don't believe this. How could he have been a real detective?
Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination.
This entire situation's a fucking train wreck. I don't even know how to, like, process all of this.
So on the day before the incident, Gregson spent the night confined in this pair's hideout.
So is the crime scene their hideout then? Or, like, that's the room, like, next to it? I don't know. Well, that's the thing, is that there's still the implication that the place where Gregson died was, like, his own hideout because of all the evidence that was, like, police exclusive and all that. And Van Zeek's, I trust him that he had never visited the place before, so it's not Van Zeek's hideout. So it must be Gregson's. So Gregson literally just let himself get locked up for the day, went back to his hideout to disclose his findings, and then got killed. Huh. We kept him prisoner and kept him as the night.
Do you realize what you're saying?
You have to believe me, I never intended for that to happen. And I'm sure that the detective did not intend it either.
Well, regardless of whether it was intentional, you still did it.
Do you think? But there was nothing else I could do.
See, nothing else. This is the first crime with the capo. He was at the end of his wits.
I've told you before, Peppino, so there's no other way to describe a criminal mastermind.
What about this hideout of yours?
An old empty house behind the park on Lime Street.
We rented the place for 2 days. It was an inspired idea by the couple here. You can just rent for 2 days? Like you don't have to sign a lease or anything? Like in 1899? God damn.
An impulsive idea, I would say.
No, not impulsive, inspired. Aye, couple? What am I supposed to say to that, Don Peppino?
It was in the house described that you could find Inspector Gregson, was it?
Oui. But you have to remember, I was under the impression that he was a pretender, not a real inspector.
It doesn't quite add up, though. If you didn't think the man was a real inspector, there would have been no reason to take him prisoner, would there?
No, you are right, but we couldn't be completely certain.
Even though he was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. I'm surprised that these two, Mr. Thin Bastard and Lil Chunky over here, were able to actually detain Gregson, a man who carried around a gun.
Hold it!
Too scared? Why?
Because, why had he come to the park? We didn't know. There was the chance that he had seen through my plan.
And if that was the case, he would go straight to the police station to blow at the whistle on us. Even if he was just feigning to be an inspector, he was up to no good, no? Without a doubt, up to no good, causing trouble in the neighborhood. I think most people would agree that's you two who were up to no good, causing trouble in my neighborhood. Well, see, you may be right. Aye, couple?
The point is, we were not able to escape from England immediately. That is why we had no choice but to take the man prisoner.
What I don't understand is why the inspector felt the need to show you his identification in the first place.
See, I asked myself the same question.
We were writing down the names and addresses of all the people who took 5 shillings from that day. I've forgotten what name he said, but the address, it startled me.
See, address Scotland Yard, Homicide Division, he said. What? He couldn't even use his, like, fake address?
I probably didn't like your face, Peppino. Anyway, I was not rude. I just politely asked him why he had said it. And that's when he started to say he was the inspector. Not long afterwards, he took out his identification.
What was Inspector Gregson playing at?
Tell the court what happened next. Took him back to your hideouts, you say?
See, we did. Show him the room next to ours. And you just have the key for that room?
It's being the identification book here, correct?
See, that isn't the one.
What made you believe that was a forgery?
I'd never seen a real one, of course. But he was so suspicious, this man. Allora, I was thinking, must be falso. Aye, couple?
Wait, it's just what Peppino has said. We were convinced it was not genuine.
And so together, the hilarious brothers, we took the man captive. Yeah, how fucking hilarious. Just a good old goof and gaff.
All we did was shove him inside a locked room. Then we made preparations to transport all of the money.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they aren't like trying to cover this up at all now. They're just like admitting everything. I can't honestly find any faults with it just quite yet, other than the fact that Gregson let himself get captured. Alright. Why'd you let him go?
What do you mean by a little tussle exactly?
Boff. It was nothing, just a minor incident.
The Fossil Inspector, it was a real piece of the work. Aye, couple?
What happened?
Uffa, it was disaster. We gave him a nice room, and what's he do, huh? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape through the ventilator.
Can you blame him? We chased him, bien sûr, and we caught him again.
Can you blame us? I'd be surprised if Gregson actually fit in the vent.
Wait, you didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you?
So, who do you think we are? Of course not. I simply got hold of him again and took him back to the room.
You don't have to hop out for now, so if things do, but you want to at least make it for a bit of stream. No, I appreciate it, man. Like, thanks for coming down. Like, I know you have not seen the game, like, at all, but I appreciate you coming to hang out. So, you have a good day, dude. All right.
Took him back to the room. There was really nothing more to it than that.
The following morning, you let him go, you say?
Correct. It was an amicable party. There was no trouble.
Easy. We shake the hands and say, let's do it again, huh? Yeah, sure, anytime. Let's do a kidnapping one more time. Why not? Not a whiff of perjury here. Yeah, at least they have standards. He spent a night in the nice room. There's nothing like prison.
Took away the man's freedom. However comfortable you make it sound, you were still holding him prisoner.
If you say that, then I say this. There's some things that takes away our freedom too. The lack of a money. So we are the prisoners as well, huh? Of society.
They do live in a society.
All of us. Huh? No money, no freedom. This is the truth. It makes me mad, and it makes me sad. What can we do?
Well, you feel so disenfranchised, take money to court. Though it'll cost you, of course.
Therefore, there you have it. You see, that is why we need the Red-Headed League to fight for the justice.
Yeah, and also taking everyone else's money. Why not?
Perhaps he has a point.
No, he does not, Naruhodo. He does not.
No, Mr. Naruhodo.
All we did was to give the man a comfortable place to sleep for the night. And you say it was a prison, huh? Huh?
Perhaps he has a point again.
No, again, Mr. Naruhodo. But they're all a little stupid here.
You should have heard him snoring. Man die. If anyone was disturbed, it was us.
Not much to go on, really. Your testimony does make me wonder, you know. About this pocket watch belonging to the inspector, I mean.
Ah, yes, the one he treasured so much, apparently.
He was confined but not restrained, as the witnesses are implying. He would have still been able to wind his watch.
It's very true, yes.
So did Inspector Gregson actually die while he was being held captive by these redheads? In which case, is it possible that these two young men are responsible for Inspector Gregson's... To be honest, I find that hard to believe. Perhaps we should try to find out exactly what happened. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo, yes.
Alright, so we'll push that one more statement again.
Hold it!
There's nothing. Tries to escape in the vents. Okay.
Adio.
Bro, would you literally just eat the entire plate of spaghetti right now? Is that why your mouth's like that?
Excuse me.
Alright, how exactly did you restrain this man?
Mr. DeRossi, is something wrong?
Huh? Me?
Something Mr. DeRousseau just said seemed to make you, well, it seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was that all about?
Cavoldo. At times like that, you don't want to have the capo after you, believe me. And I speak from personal esperienza.
Personal experience?
That is enough, Peppino. There is no need to say more. The truth is, the night before we put the Red-Headed League plan into action, I was scared. It was not fair to the couple, but I tried to run away.
It's a shame you didn't make it.
Manage it.
But the capo here, he came after me like the turbine, though. And he dragged me back to the house, kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises to prove it. I capo?
Bruises, you say?
Oh, you want to see, huh? You want to see my fantastical bruises?
Well, I mean, I can kind of see it, like, around your neck.
That's enough now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you.
True. So fucking real.
What did you do, huh? I show you or I don't. I show you or I don't.
One moment here. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna need to take a quick little break here. I'll be back in like 5 minutes here. So I'll be back in a sec. Sorry about that. I accidentally pressed the button when I was getting back. All right. Oh. Oh, history, please. Okay.
What did you do, huh? I assure you or I don't. I assure you or I don't.
You do now.
Although everybody wants to see it, then I do it.
Okay, yeah, it's neck. All right.
Echo, you see? It's still very visible, eh?
That's red ring around your neck. You got that when you were dragged back to the house.
See, the capo, sometimes he is a very rough. I said that's enough. A Pino's neck is nothing to do with what we are talking about here. You have my word.
Is your word very credible, sir? Like, we have caught you multiple times already trying to lie.
Yes, what is your opinion, Counsel? About this red ring around Mr. DeRossi's neck. I wonder, does it matter?
All right, well, let's bring up the photo of the victim. I can't really see any sort of ring around his neck. Huh. Well, we'll just say it's important anyway. We bluff out of our asses here.
Mr. DeRossi, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck.
Hi, couple. You see? Everyone is interested in what I say, huh?
Oh, that is because you're saying all the wrong things.
Very well, you'll amend your testimony as requested, Mr. DeRossi.
See, if you really wanted to know. Tried to escape, but the couple put the collar on him and dragged him back. Like what he did to me, see?
Collar.
Hold it!
Are you saying that red mark was caused by
See, a big collar made from the leather.
a leather collar?
Is this true, Mr. DeRosso?
What? We had the Saint Bernard at home when I was younger. It's a souvenir from that time. It was a very strong chain.
A strong chain.
And you put that around your friend's neck. I'm sorry, I was so angry that he was leaving me alone.
You did not have to tie the chain to a leg of the bed, though, huh? I would not have tried to run again.
Oh, I don't think I like the dynamic they've got going on here.
You didn't do that to Inspector Gregson as well, did you?
Treat the people are equal. Is the couple's here's motto, eh?
It's starting to sound a lot more like a prison all of a sudden.
The couple was a tough, but the couple was a rough.
I shouldn't have done it.
So, the following morning, when you released the inspector,
he had the red ring around his neck, just like a me.
Pino, s'il vous plaît.
Leave it now. Now you know, huh? The couple here, you don't want to tangle with them, eh? But the inspector is not so bad.
Drag them back like what he did to me, but we don't really see the mark on his neck. So, I'm a little confused about that. I think I'm gonna present that, the photo of the victim, and see where we get with that. Alright.
Objection!
so the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito.
No, it was not like that. It was hardly a prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was only.
An invitation that could not be refused.
However you describe it, there's one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is this, Counsel? I would ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. You will see that there is no red ring visible around his neck.
Eh? But that makes no sense. It was me who took the collar off the man in the morning. And I saw the red bruises on his neck, just like I have.
Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we'd expect to see bruising on the victim who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. DeRossi. Indeed, that is most peculiar.
Well, what do we tell you, huh? We say this from at the beginning, many times.
Oui, Pino is right. The man in the photograph is somewhat different to the man we held captive that night.
They did say that. They did say that. Damn it. How did I not see this? Fuck.
Order, order, order.
It would appear, then, that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector was not Inspector Gregson at all.
Objection!
If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself. Also know that the inspector had made a note about the Red-Headed League in his diary for that day, which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely.
Those two events were married. Honestly. Huh. I wonder if the word divorce was used more in olden times to just explain a separation rather than just for marriage, huh?
The inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling.
If the real Inspector Gregson who these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation. But equally, if they actually encountered an imposter...
Imposter? Imposter? Sus? Sus? Sus?
How would that person come to be in possession of the real inspector's identification? Does the defense have some plausible explanation, counsel? The whole thing defies explanation. It is for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Naruhodo. Because those are the facts, and the facts cannot lie. No, the facts can't lie. Even when they point to something so incredible, it's almost unbelievable.
The eternal fucking Ace Attorney slogan of eliminate the, if you eliminate everything else, whatever's probable, whatever's left must be the truth. Or some shit like that. No matter how impossible. Or improbable, rather.
Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park for the Red-Headed League's enrollment...
Wait a minute, it misspelled enrollment again. Is enrollment spelled differently in UK? Huh.
Is revealed by information in the court record, I believe. Good gracious. Very tantalizing, Mr. Naruhodo. So why don't you help us all to see whatever truth it is that you have apparently seen? Who exactly was this inspector that appeared before Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi?
Alright, was it Dewey? I can see that. Particularly distinctive facial features. Mr. Vigil is kind of described in the way that they described him, like thin chin, pretty scrawny. Alright, it was an imposter. Let's go with that.
Though it seems incredible, I admit the undeniable facts point to one thing. Since no bruising can be seen on the victim's neck, the person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson. In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Objection!
On the contrary, I haven't finished.
What?
There's no bruising on the victim's neck, so the question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification?
See, that's alright. We tell the same story every time. Whoever this man was, the couple dragged him from a pillar to the post with the dog collar.
Undo Pepino, I was not so harsh as you say, oh?
So was that falso inspector, eh? Who was he?
Clearly, the defense has an idea about that. About the true identity of the man these two imprisoned that night.
I mean, Mr. Vigil's kind of, like, I feel like it's just him through process of elimination, you know? Like, I don't think we have anything definitive pointing to him.
I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post haste. Who did the witnesses encounter in the park posing as Inspector Gregson?
Once again. You scum on my save till I load. Daily Vigil. Fabian de Rousseau. Third son of a great Italian landowner, huh? Let's go with Daily Vigil.
It's surely no secret. This is the identity of the imposter. Oh, really? On what grounds? Well, I say it was no secret, but that part is.
You know what? I'm glad that I fucked up.
Dear me, if I ever have a penalty was in order, it's now, I feel.
Like the punishment, the capo can lend you his collar if you want, though.
Perhaps my learned friend needs to experience what it feels like to be dragged around the streets by the neck. I'll use my imagination, thanks.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the red ring produced by the collar is clearly the crux of the matter here. Yes, the bruising around the neck. Have we seen anyone like that? I haven't seen anything that I can remember, at least. Oh.
Oh.
How could I just completely forget about that? I did not notice that, like, at all. I am a fool. A foolish fool.
Take that!
Goodness me, isn't that? One of the witnesses who was in the stand in this very courtroom earlier today. A nameless man whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passersby.
Objection!
What on earth would a street seller be doing with the police inspector's identification papers? Witnesses, is this the man or not?
What has happened to his lip?
Ah. See, this man is not for the Red-Headed League, eh? He's looking for the Twisted Lip League, no?
Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead. Seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noted something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising. Eh? What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand.
I doubt there's many people that have that ring right now, so...
Order, order. Bailiff, bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom immediately.
Yeah, so this... It kind of shows that Gossip, at least, could have been in the room beforehand. He noticed the inspector's body and looted the corpse. At the very least, if he wasn't the murderer.
Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed, and identical to that of the witness beside him.
Now what's going on here? I've always had this me. It's a birthmark, isn't it?
Birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you.
Someone's about an inspector again. Well, I'm telling you, you've got it all wrong as usual.
You're denying all knowledge of it?
Well, of course I am. Are you trying to kill me with all this nonsense, eh?
Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. Excuse me.
Hey, let me sorry I'm late. Hey, Bill, how's it going, dude? No, don't worry about being late at all. I'm just happy if people show up. All right, and get you caught up to speed a little bit. So basically, we have found out that Gregson had definitely died like the day before the actual incident took place, and that he had been investigating the Red-Headed League, which was basically a scam that let me just pull these up, that these two goobers had set up to, where basically people would be promised like a £4 a week pension if they got into the Red-Headed League, and they had an application fee of 5 shillings, and they were just going to interview all of these people, take the shillings, and then immediately run later that night. They unfortunately did not get that far. However, Gregson was inspecting them and investigating it undercover, or at least that was his intention. And apparently these guys had taken him prisoner as a result of him investigating, and it would have given him a red ring of bruising. However, Gregson never really had that red ring around him, so it's like, okay, we found you, you faker. And it's looking like this guy was the guy who dressed up as Gregson, so... Alright, we'll see. And you, Mr. De Rousseau and Mr. De Rossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you?
Do we have any choice?
We're in the bigger trouble, eh, couple?
That's quite enough dilatory chatter. Proceed with the testimony.
You never trusted that lip. Never, never. He doesn't use lip balm at all. Actually, one moment. I need to turn on my AC. It's starting to get hot in here. Alright. The inspector and the identification revisited.
The man who claimed to be an inspector that day. He was definitely not this man.
That's right, see? You think we would forget those grand lips, huh?
I'd never leave Fresno Street, alright? I'm no interest in a red-headed league. I'm all alone in the world, me. I'm no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that?
Well, I mean, 4 pounds a week.
Just look at me, eh? Does it look like a carry-off or disguise with a face like this?
Maybe a face like that is the disguise, hmm?
It would certainly appear that we have the wrong man. What have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony.
That's right. I'm just a simple peddler, remember? Fresno Street's all I know. How would I have come by the police inspector's identification book, eh?
Well, yes, that's hard to explain, but...
A brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ugh, is there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be onto something? I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Naruhodo.
If ain't nobody got me, I know Susato got me, even though I may be stupid. You know, while Kazuma's busy shooting me down a peg, he's no longer my best friend. What happened to you, buddy?
The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man.
So you say, but how can you be quite so certain?
There's no need to put your hands on the desk, monsieur. Surely the reason is obvious, no? Because I've never before seen lips like this. I've never seen the buzz in my courtroom before.
Nevertheless, there's a clear red mark around Mr. Gossip's neck, and it looks very much like that left behind the neck of your colleague by your prized collar.
Mon Dieu, with your words, it's like you try to wring my neck.
It does look very much like my neck, though, eh?
No, this is a birthmark, lad. The biggest lips in London and a neck to die for. Aye, they broke the mold when they made me.
I certainly think the mold did break when you were built in that factory, sir.
Was the first time in my life. I feel lucky to have been born with red hair.
At least you don't have that.
I thought being Japanese made you stand out in London.
So you maintain that you've never seen this man before? Oui, c'est ça. I swear by the flames of my hair.
Sophia's pride has outgrown the frustration with your hair now, has it?
Right, you'd forget those grand lips? I don't know.
Well, yes, I don't imagine I'll forget those lips in a hurry either.
That is what I'm saying. For some reason, it makes me want to eat. How did Fabian call it? An eclair. You know, I've never seen the hair as black as yours before either. I don't know how to feel about those last few statements there.
Likewise, I'd never seen red hair like yours until I came to Britain.
See, maybe it's a national trait, though. Maybe all the people from this man's country have the grand lips.
No, lad, I was born right here on Fresno Street, and I've never left.
Papa, that isn't the problem, see?
So you definitely didn't go to the park on Lime Street that day, Mr. Gossip?
Now, how many times do you want me to say it, eh?
Never left Fresno Street.
Hold it!
Excuse me? So you've heard of the Red-Headed League, had you?
You don't get a name like Gossip for nothing, eh? It's my business to know what's going on in town. I sold that tasty tidbit to a fair few redheads that came past me. Just between us, I even got sandwich cough up for it.
Well, he does have a very red nose, if that counts.
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, as you can see, my own hair's not got a hint of red in it. And in any case, Fresno Street's my patch. You won't catch me settling off to some other part of town. No, sir, not likely.
Excuse me.
Mr. de Rousseau.
Oui. Can I help you?
Did Mr. Gossip's words just now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps?
It was the other day, when I was looking for a place near the park. A small house or something.
To be the headquarters of your Red-Headed League, yes.
I visited an housing agent on Lime Street, and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent.
What?
Mr. Gossip with a housing agent?
Oui. He had some kind of contract in his hand and they were clearly discussing terms.
But no. You're mistaken, chum. I have never left Red to straight me, like I said before. You're mistaking me for someone else. Someone with the same face.
But it clearly wasn't you who was taken before. No, never.
No, the capo was right. I remember it too. He was paying the man with the banknotes.
With notes.
Like I said, that wasn't me.
I think he might be conducting some scams of his own.
I was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money. So I looked at the name on the papers.
And what name was written? Mr. Gossip?
No, this man, he lies. He tells you that he has no name. But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone, huh? He's better than Mr. Gossip, I think, see?
Oh, we got his ass.
Oh, we fucking got his ass. Ooh, no!
I'm a peddler of tidbits of information, like I said, on Fresno Street, and that's that. I don't much like folk talking about my personal life.
Indeed. It is not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Very well, I shall respect your wishes, sir.
No, do not respect his wishes. Fuck you.
The aforementioned names shall be redacted from all court records of this trial, assuming no objections.
Big fucking objection.
I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case. Good gracious, do you similarly object, Prosecutor Sogi?
As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings.
Well, I never. In what capacity?
Hugh Boone. The name of the leaseholder of the room.
Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room.
Fuck.
I suggest, sir, that you start talking.
Well, alright. I suppose that might be the case,
Yeah, so if it's your room, and you're actually staying in it, then how do you have all these police documents, sir? What's going on?
So your real name is Hugh Boone.
Oh, it's changed his name. You're no longer Gossip. You are now Boone.
Well, just between us, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but there's no finer peddler of tidbits in town. So I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room in a falling down back street townhouse.
You do?
Once every 6 months, I go and pay the rent to the agent on Lime Street. I remember now. There was 2 vulgar redheads in there last time.
Aye, if either of us is a vulgar, it's not to me.
Single again, Papino.
Why didn't you bring this up before?
It's like I told you already. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit peddler as far as everyone else is concerned. No fuss.
Well, I think this is a little bit relevant to the trial, man. I don't think this is shit you can hide.
You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone.
If I must.
So the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered has been here under our noses all along.
I rent the room where that fellow was found, it's true. For what difference it makes.
Get those grand lips. Definitely not this man.
Hold it!
I pursued before, but I want to finish this out. Mr. Boone.
How many times you want me to say it, eh?
Oh, wait, no, it's this. It just changed this statement. Okay. You rent the room where that fellow was found, it's true, for what difference it makes.
So, you live in that room presumably, do you?
No, I don't live there. What do you think? There's no bed, is there? Just a desk.
Then, why would you want to rent it?
Well, I don't think I should have to say it, really.
And how about the notice board in there? Which was covered from top to bottom confidential documents only the police should have access to.
No, that board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along. It's only the other bits and bobs that belong to me, the desk and the chair and that.
People don't generally carry enormous notice boards around with them. The real question is, why was Inspector Gregson killed there in your room?
So, is he, like, subleasing it to Gregson, like, unofficially?
Well, obviously, I'm not the faintest idea. I mean, it's causing me no end to bother, to be honest.
Seems to me that Mr. Boone, would rather as little is known about his room as possible for some reason. Yes, it does come across that way, and more importantly, knowing that the scene of the crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that really bothers me now. So I'm finally going to undo this man.
No, kinfolk or nothing, why would I be involved in something like that?
Hold it!
You mean you have no family?
No, none at all. So I spend my days on Fresno Street peddling tidbits to passersby. Hoping, just between us, this is, that eventually someone else with lips like mine will come along.
Oh, that sounds gross. Just mashing those fucking huge lips together.
I don't think so.
You may be right.
Anyway, that mark on your neck is just too much of a coincidence for us to ignore.
Well, what's a fella to do then, eh? If you don't believe me, we're at an impasse. And there's nothing I can do but flick me lip.
Looks like I'm not going to get anywhere unless I can produce some proof.
You're basically saying I got dressed up and posed as some fancy inspector, aren't you? Well, it's beyond me how you think I could do that.
Does it look like I carry off a disguise with a face like this?
Maybe you could. Say, with a mustache or a beard to cover up that lip.
Alright, perhaps. Or if I was going to stick some fake facial hair on to cover up this fine specimen. I'd end up looking like his lordship over there, wouldn't I?
I think we ignore that.
Pardon? I assure you my lips are entirely unremarkable. And I would ask that you not cast such scrutinizing look in my direction, Counsel.
Sorry, my lord. My imagination got the better of me there.
Well, Inspector Gregson did wear a mustache, of course. Right, he did. So, perhaps he was hiding something himself.
Could have barely hidden a crumb in a mustache of that size. No flavor saver to be found. And anyway, the detective we spoke was had no facial hair at all.
See, the couple was right. He was a clean shaven. Right, I remember them mentioning that.
It certainly seems beyond the realms of possibility that this witness could have disguised himself as the victim.
It does and that is.
I'm not believing it so much myself anymore. Alright, that's the extent of their testimony. How are you feeling?
What Mr. Boone says is undeniable. It would be all but impossible to hide those lips with any form of disguise. Perhaps yes, but nevertheless, the mark around his neck is equally undeniable. And it's identical to the one that Mr. DeRossi suffered.
Yes, that's true.
Why is this whole disguise idea just keep playing on my mind?
Alright, that's everything then. So, got these grand lips. What difference it makes? Why would I be involved in something like that? There's nothing about the warrant card that I can really think of. Yeah, looks genuine. Everything looks like Gregson's. Pocket watch. Red hairpiece. Firecracker, the notice board. Bloody handprints. Huh. I have no clue, I'm gonna be real. None of this other stuff is relevant at all yet. Pounds a week for your redhead. Okay. We went through room where it was found, it's true, for what difference it makes.
Hold it!
Doesn't live in that room, it's just a desk. Notice board. Only that desk and chair belong to him. How was he killed there? Huh. More importantly, knowing that the scene of the crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that's really bothering me. Okay, so specifically his testimony. And it's either this line or this line. Why would it be involved in something like that? Makes one piece of evidence relevant. Is there anything on the desk? The table, then. I can't think so. Top of one of the candles appears to have been blown off. Actually, wait. If it's his room, then he would be the one who was able to set the candle, wouldn't he? I'm gonna do a little save here. How would we be involved in something like that?
Objection.
Okay, yeah, fucked up there. Damn. Is there anything else that's sort of significant about him renting the room? Or why he would be involved? Maybe about the notice board itself? Nope. Piss. That's with something he has to say. Does it look like I could carry a disguise with a face like this? I'm not exactly sure. What I can even present here, huh? Any ideas, chat? Dismissal note, framed photograph, candelabrum, the police figurine, red hairpiece, the revolver. Autopsy report, no time of death. Caliber the gun uses matches that of firearms for the members of the judiciary. With the plans. Notice board. Counting page. Redhead League. I'm a little confused. Difference it makes. I'm all alone in the world. I have no kinfolk. Why would I be involved in something like that? And I can't present profiles either, so... Gregson, go! Fuck! How would you carry a disguise, then? Why would I be involved? For the 5 pounds! Fuck! Alright. Yeah, I'm a little stumped on this one. I'm just gonna have to... Maybe I'm still missing some information. I'm gonna press from the beginning again. Be quite so certain. Reasons obvious. No lips. Red mark. Collar. It's a birthmark. Glad to have red hair. That's normal.
Hold it.
And lips. Do not go to Fresno Street.
Hold it.
Gonna read it closer. Live in that room. Don't live there. There's no bed, just a desk. Why would you want to rent it? Oh, the notice board. Board's not his. In the chair. Knowing that's his room.
Hold it!
No family. God damn it. Okay, so it wants me to present something here. Why would I be involved in something like that? Well, shit. I don't know. Warrant? Fuck. Is something about the nose for then? No. Something about his room.
Objection!
God damn it.
Objection!
Crimson floor plan? No. God damn it. I have no idea. I think I'm gonna have to cheat here a little bit. I'm sorry. Bum, 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 bum. Ah. 2. All right. Me right here. Not there. Okay. Okay, I see now. This makes more sense. I forgot that this photo was found at the scene of the crime. I should have just read it more. It's just like, why is Miss Vigil here?
Objection!
That's a great question, actually. Damn, I'm stupid.
If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why it is that among the sparse furnishings we found this photograph in the room.
Ah,
I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not?
oh, well,
Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are.
I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler, I keep telling you so.
Is he Vigil? No fucking way is he Vigil. I mean, he kind of has the same hair. He has the same eyebrows, too. It's just everything except his nose and mouth kind of matches him. Huh.
You really don't need to bother with me. Please, just leave it alone.
As the man says, leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it has no bearing on this case. Because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson.
Objection!
How can you be so sure?
Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features.
Objection!
Unless those features are a disguise in the first place.
What if we were to look at this the other way around?
What do you mean?
Yes, counsel, what do you mean?
Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip is in itself part of an elaborate disguise. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? Good. Witness, are you still hiding the truth from this court?
His lip is a fake.
If that's a disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be.
Yes, that's right. There's really one only person he could really be.
My lord, the defense believes they can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court.
No, no, please, no.
Very well then, counsel. What is the true identity of this peddler who simply goes by the name of Gossip on the street?
That would be A1 Daily Vigil.
Take that!
Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil.
Yeah!
I don't recall that name, counsel. Who is this Mr. Vigil?
It's a name I encountered yesterday, my lord.
It has to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact. This is Mrs. Vigil.
What?
From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night, you are being held captive by the two Red-Headed League men.
Last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial. Because we've been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course.
Wait a minute, is Venus homeless?
Wow, that is surprising to me, to be honest. Considering the amount of money that she would make from selling firecrackers. And the fact that she also looks like to be in one piece. Like, respectfully.
That explains why you've not only been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who has been beside herself with worry waiting for you at the Vigil residence.
No, you just hold on a minute. I don't know the first idea.
What I'm talking about, really, is a simple enough matter to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise.
Yank his lip! Bailiff, pull on his lip.
No, please.
Bailiff, bring soap, a sponge, and a washbowl at once.
Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi, you will restrain the witness.
They're very good at it.
Oui, my lord.
See, my lord.
No, stop. Get off, please. Don't.
This game's so silly, I love it. It's beautiful. Look at this man. Restrained by a Frenchman and an Italian. I can't make this shit up.
Well, we are now seeing your true features, I presume.
Oh, he changed outfit too.
Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witnesses, tell the court, have you seen this man before?
I don't believe it, but
See, there's no question. This is the inspector we saw in the park.
Extraordinary.
I'm surprised that he was able to get all the makeup on his face and everything, but not over the wound itself.
On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claimed to be Inspector Gregson who appeared before Mr. de Rousseau and Mr. de Rossi in the park.
Was you disguised as the inspector, or rather, was you posing as the inspector, no disguise at all? Yeah, it's looking very bad for you right now, sir.
Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at Barclay Prison. Chief warder? Then your career had promise. Why, you would quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison. What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street?
Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years.
I'm really dreadfully sorry about all of this. Yes, it's true. I am Daily Vigil.
And you were the chief warder at Barclay Prison 10 years ago.
So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented.
Well, evidently there's a great deal under the surface here.
I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become.
One moment. One moment. I gotta seat myself. Pull up a blanket. Get cozy. I'm ready for the lore. All right.
As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment as Barclay's chief warder came to an end. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. The times were hard in London, and I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you are the chief warder at Barclay Prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I've never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone. I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street. The scene of the very crime we're investigating. Yes, that's right.
Ooh, look at this art style. Ooh.
A place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler, and transform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine.
I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room, but that explains it.
But why on earth did you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons, and without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them.
I'm surprised he was able to earn enough, like, as an information peddler, to raise a wife and 2 sons, and also be able to pay his mortgage or whatever. Well, I don't know if he actually owns the house or anything like that, so I don't know, we'll see.
So instead you decide to conceal your occupation from them? Yes. I've made such a terrible mess of everything.
Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder at the prison. Very true. To have kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment.
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson.
What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth?
It was some years after I invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller. He, the inspector that is, recognized me one day.
Do you mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours?
I knew him from my time working at the prison. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. And from that day forward, he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity. Then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him.
A secret? What was it?
I was to impersonate the inspector.
I don't like the artsy poses he's been going with. He's creeping me out now, especially the dead eyes.
What? Impersonate him?
We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me.
As Dork sees tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress.
It was always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. On those occasions, he would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially.
So he was basically like, hey, you want to do my job for me so I can investigate some other cases? That's kind of whack.
Scotland Yard Inspector willingly relinquished his identification into your care with intent to deceive. That, as I'm sure I need not point out, is a very serious criminal offense. But why? What was the point of you impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if, well, if I end up a croaker.
What did he get himself into?
In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. It became something of a second office for him. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my boon disguise, and then went as instructed to the park, armed with the inspector's identification book. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away.
I see. I mean, I guess. Huh. Huh. Well, shit. What now?
Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case.
A little bit. A little bit.
Explain yourself, Prosecutor Asogi. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered, at the hands of these two red-headed league men when they imprisoned the inspector.
He just tried his own little test slam. It's just...
But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day. It was me.
Oh, goodness. Finally, we have clarity. We have nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Defense, for proving it.
What? Ah! No, it's always the back and forth. Fuck. I wanted to get somewhere.
Order, order, order. Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. These witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim, as proven somewhat ironically by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination.
Well,
Hold it!
I mean, we can. Yeah. Well, now that we know that Vigil was there in an increasing amount, is it any way possible that Vigil was the one who committed this crime, considering that was also his room?
Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness.
Azuma?
What question, counsel? It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time.
This isn't really relevant to the case, but sure, go for it, bestie.
10 years ago?
The execution of the professor, Genshin Asogi.
I want to know exactly what your involvement was.
Oh.
Answer me, man. One moment, counsel. Is this related to the current case? Naturally.
Now it's time for Cosmo to bluff out of his ass.
It is of the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Does the defense concur, counsel?
Kazuma. I mean, if we want the trial to keep going, we just have to go with them. Not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. Or Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. His own father. I know. I do understand that. But even so... Prosecutor Asogi. Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death?
I need you to trust me. Please.
Very well. Pocket we ball, Your Honor.
Very well, then defense has no objection.
I see. In that case, you'll answer the question, witness.
The truth is, I remember very little of that time.
You've forgotten?
Sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago.
You were not resigned. I can say that in full confidence.
But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry?
Well, 10 years ago is a long time, but to have forgotten the reason why you left such an important job.
Yes, you're right.
And not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know.
The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection.
Sorry? The human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean.
When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface. And when they do, that fragile spirits may finally be crushed.
But I really don't. Kazuma-sama.
We're going to break this man, Naruhodo. But if it must be crushed, then so be it, because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out, one way or the other.
Just like our relationship.
Right, now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth at any cost. Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Should I present the evidence or not?
Do it! Fuck it!
I have no idea how this is going to go. But this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events.
Dismissal? No.
Take that!
Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yes. In other words, you claim to have left the post of Chief Warder of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why?
Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before?
No, I don't.
It's a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment.
Dismissal notice?
And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil.
What? What?
It's mine?
So you didn't resign from the prison service at all? For some reason, you were dismissed as Chief Warder from Barclay.
No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. This dismissal notice is nonsense.
No, give this man the PTSD.
Isn't it?
If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember.
Round, round, round she goes. We don't stop. No one knows.
According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on the 17th of June 10 years ago. On that day, something very serious took place at Barclay Prison.
17th of June.
Was that the professor's execution?
Yes, sir.
As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings.
It does sound familiar.
And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave.
Convict came back to life.
Yeah, so they conducted a fake execution and had him come back out from the grave. And then once that he saw re-emerging from the grave, then it was like, oh shit, they fucked up the execution. He isn't actually dead. Daly, you messed up.
In a cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments.
Yes. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down.
I don't know how Vigil and Genshin were related necessarily. That's the one thing that's kind of keeping it all from being tied up together.
Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil? I know these are memories in your head that explain what happened on the 17th of June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up.
Sorry, one moment. Okay.
But Mr. Vigil,
You know, maybe he just needs a hammer. Solid just, you know?
The whole prison, it was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane.
what? What?
Thank God this is a closed court.
Order, order, order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned?
My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh, my goodness. The papers. There were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost.
Yes, Enoch Dreba.
But surely those reports were exaggerated.
There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139, blood, lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there.
The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering. I've reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convicts managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigating team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting that a prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom?
Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape.
You did what?
Hey, suspected.
I remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower.
He's going fast right now.
Sorry, Daly. This is a serious business. But I can't help you new. As Chief Warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution of 4, eh? Well, seems the fellows at Scotland Yard want to have a few wee words with you about it. Better pack your things, lad. You're to attend in person.
As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew,
Whee! The professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. Oh, these are his thoughts.
and I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over.
Floodgates have been broken. Put this man in the asylum. He needs help.
Order, order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once! Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day. Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zieks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
I'm a little disappointed that kind of ended there. We still know, like, jack shit. I don't know anything. Save the current progress, sure thing, man. What am I saving? I don't know. I'm confuzzled. Bamboozled. Like, do we even have anything we can investigate? Like, we've looked at, like, everything so far. Oh, man. 2nd of November, 3:38 p.m. Sholmes is sweet.
Still can't quite believe what just happened. I know. I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned. And it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to recover.
Right.
10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prisoner governor's office.
Whoa! Shit!
Ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret, not his family, not even the man himself, but I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark, I wonder?
I think it's both you and Cosmo. Like, it's not fully you. You're fine. Somewhat. Ryu!
Oh, Iris. You're miles away. Anyway, I brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you. Oh, thank you. You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? Oh.
To say the least.
Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. Do you happen to know where Mr. Holmes is? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he disappeared.
Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, "I must leave."
I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death.
Well, you know what Holmesy's always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. The construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else. Yeah, the elimination of a problem is what happens when there's a solution. I mean, I guess you're right. He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too. But he just can't take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important to him.
That's so true.
But that's what I like about Holmesy after all.
Suppose that's a lot of great detective in some ways.
So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand.
Oh, can you actually do the scientific part of the investigation for us? I'd appreciate that. Oh, do you have time, Iris?
Yes, I've finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes.
You know, I always hide Holmesy's violin the days before I have a deadline.
You do? Poor Mr. Holmes. Why do you even do that? Like, what's the reason?
I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation.
Like, Is it just so Holmes can't play the violin and distract her? Is that it? Alright. And all this is still the same as usual, so I'm not gonna have to fucking inspect everything again, thank God.
this morning's trial.
So, how'd it go in court this morning?
Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zieks definitely didn't do it.
Oh, goody!
Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well.
Oh, really?
And there was another development too. Kazuma. Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent.
I don't know. Have you talked to the guy? He's always been kind of like that.
Oh. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through.
Kazuma, it's time for your therapy session.
Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered. And Lord Van Zieks has to be innocent, you see.
What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out just by examining the corpse, surely.
Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report.
That is curious.
There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zieks, though, aren't there?
Ah, do you mean?
I mean what he was doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place.
Well, according to the man's testimony,
He said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? And it turns out that little room was actually the Inspector's secret office.
Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot.
But then why was that noticeable and they're covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with a link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all this.
Well, the thing is that I know that Gregson has a lot of respect for Van Zieks, so it's more like I think he was investigating if there was a person who was actually killing all of these people that Van Zieks had gotten innocent. So, I don't know.
Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish.
We must start by looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late.
Yeah, let's talk about his bowel movements.
Never imagined I might have to be investigating the Inspector's movements.
Well, according to the entry in his diary,
he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death.
Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Holmesy?
Well, Mr. Holmes is trying to apply, whereas the Inspector was supposed to be investigating. I do wish it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the Inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil, in possession of Gregson's identification.
I'm surprised they don't include pictures on the actual book itself, considering that photographs do exist at this time.
You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi.
Oh my. Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris. But why would Gregson need an alibi? It appeared that the Inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret.
I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips.
Perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. Sure thing, Hodo.
I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies. Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zieks felt the need to investigate Gregson... Yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows.
Mr. Vigil's condition.
Vigil, you say? Is that the name of the lady who came to visit Holmesy yesterday?
That's right. To ask Mr. Holmes if he would help her to find her missing husband.
Only Mr. Holmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one? Probably the same one as usual. Everyone's been to the hospital at some point in this game.
Ah, it's St. Sinner's.
Yeah, who could have thought? I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down.
But that's amazing, Ryu. You found the lady's husband already.
Well, I suppose I have, by accident.
And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration.
No!
So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed.
Oh, sometimes I really don't want to grow up.
There's more. Well, let's be honest, she's one of the most grown-up characters in this fucking series. Like, she has to be the fucking dad around here, not Holmes.
There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector.
To impersonate Gregsy? But why?
I've absolutely no idea.
Ginny was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now. Including you, Runo.
Oh. Hey, I'm perfectly fine. Do not slander me like this. I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. However, I have a distinct feeling that someone might impersonate one of my ancestors. I mean, one of my descendants, but you know, it's just a feeling.
It means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you?
Back to St. Sinner's then. Yeah, I think Cosmo's gonna be like grilling him the entire day.
Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let's investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special Watson shooting iron will soon set them straight.
That's water pistol. We know it's like smoke bombs.
It's stuffed full of a piping hot extra special blend of mine. And I'm quite sure it'll be very effective.
I don't think we should be carrying around weapons without licenses.
I better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Holmes is nowhere to be seen, but still. Let's go and see what we can find out.
Yes.
Alright. Let's give it a shot then. Oh, we have a lot of areas. Don't believe we visited this place for some time. Why are these grayed out? I wonder. Well, first off, I gotta make sure that my room is kept nice and untidy. 2nd of November, Naruhodo's legal consultancy. Yeah, that's just what to do. We're good with that. All of this is the same as normal. Alright. Fair enough. Actually, why not? What to do?
Are you all right, Mr. Naruhodo? It's rather unusual to find ourselves here in the middle of our investigations.
It's just occurred to me that I might have forgotten something when we left this morning.
Please don't worry. As long as you continue to investigate thoroughly, you won't go far wrong.
Oh, yes, of course. I must get back to work as soon as possible. Nothing fun. Lord Chief Justice first, I guess. Down the line. Oh, here he is. 2nd of November, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office.
No arguments, Prosecutor Asogi. We'll continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear?
Perfectly.
It's Kazuma-sama.
Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down.
On your way now, Asogi.
My lord?
My lord.
What beautiful eyes you have.
Kazuma.
Alright, not even hearing us out? He left without saying a word.
Yes, what are you doing here?
Oh, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions if you wouldn't mind.
I wanted Van Zeek's trial concluded today. But Prosecutor Asogi's unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary.
Unwelcome inquiries?
As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 43, 44, 45.
Then we must have 46. Resolve everything 47. Before 3 hours have 48 have passed, Mr. Naruhodo.
49, 50,
In a miraculous 51. Not even 52 minutes. 53. I'm sorry, I'll stop.
Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information.
Alright. And everything here is same as usual? Yeah. The Reaper.
Does Prosecutor Sogi believe that Lord Van Zeeks is the Reaper?
I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Van Zeeks made a name for himself among the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress.
It's awful.
The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days.
Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Yeah, I remember this being told.
Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey.
And people believed Lord Van Zieks was responsible.
He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident.
So he must have had a solid alibi then.
Nevertheless, the mysterious deaths continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper.
Well, we at least know the one with Mr. McGundle, was, or McGilded rather, that fucking English name. That was not, he wasn't involved in that one at all.
It's a long run of coincidences.
Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial.
And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated.
That's why it's a closed trial.
Precisely. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years.
So the last one was the Professor's, the trial of Genshin Osogi.
Correct.
Actually, we heard that originally, you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart.
Van Zieks entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. With the son of the man Van Zieks had condemned now looking to avenge his father's death in the same way.
They do say that what goes around comes around.
However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well.
Kazuma is.
I like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock in here, I won't tolerate a single cog being out of step with the others.
That doesn't sound menacing at all. Or that will cause problems later down the line. No, definitely not. Ah, so that's what all these gears are about in here.
If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps.
What do you mean?
I'm killing him. I'm killing him, Naruhodo. He'll be dead. Not something with which you need to concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow.
Alright.
Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of this moment, I have been delayed from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours.
Oh my, that's a long time.
And I hold you entirely responsible.
Whoa, goddamn, man. Even though we miraculously managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes. I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Osogi.
Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office.
Oh, thank you. Alright. Get the therapy bot out. Let's go to see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm pretty sure he's gonna kick us out, but we can try. Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not all that sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Alright. Well, we can try. Oh, it's all the way at the bottom of the list, huh? We'll do it later then. It's just not letting me go to these two. Alright, sure, fine. I can accept that. You know, I'm just gonna keep... Nah, I need to. The angst is too far. Of course, he's just taking up Van Ziek's office, huh? 2nd of November, prosecutor's office. Oh, he's made his own little mock-up. So, this is the office of Prosecutor Sogi now, is it? Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself. Are you sure? Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor, Japanese style, in that dark corner. It's his habit to sit Seiza style whenever he's working. Well, it looks like our journey here was wasted. The prosecutor appears to be out. Perhaps we should discuss things with another prosecutor we know first. So I just had to go to Van Ziek's anyway. Alright, well, sure thing. I can at least look at everything in here then. Let's see, what we have here. Mr. Naruhodo, it would be very underhand to glean information from Kazuma-sama's office while he's absent. Well, I just wanted to look at his chess set. We should wait until he's here before we start nosing around. Oh, of course, yes. She doesn't take any nonsense when it comes to Kazuma, does she?
Ah, very well. Literally all of it I can't inspect. Goddamn. Fine. I'll go visit my other boyfriend. 2nd of November, local prison, cell 1. Oh, there's Iris. She's just suddenly here now.
Lord Van Zieks is reading. Look.
Doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he?
But he must have noticed that we're here, surely.
What do you Nipponese want?
That's no way to greet the lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it?
Perhaps not.
I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo?
He cleans up nice. There we go. We're getting somewhere.
Lord Van Zieks, speaking earnestly.
Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow.
This does feel very, very strange.
I must say, I was impressed.
Oh, well, thank you.
Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend.
Ah, give us something. A crumb of praise, Van Zieks, please.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years.
Played the part.
Tell me more.
The Reaper's identity. You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London.
Keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing. Then why would I choose to say anything?
But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone's using you.
Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization. They're all against me. They're all out there. It's a conspiracy, I tell you. Get them out. Get out of my skin.
It's a whole organization.
It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case, which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved.
Someone at... You can't mean...
It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson.
I don't believe it for a fucking second.
No! Gregson, the Reaper.
What leads you to believe this?
So, the reason you are investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper.
As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization.
Alright, what leads you to believe so, dude?
I don't believe it. Are you saying that Gregsy, that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting the...
Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself.
Oh.
He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi.
Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector.
Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings.
So we don't actually know who carried out the killings, then?
Actually, I do have a name.
Do you now? You're very well informed. You what?
Well, if you can name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already, then.
Or I can name the woman.
Huh?
Oh.
She's a young woman by the name of Asashin.
Oh no. You can't be serious. Asashin. That's so on the nose. God, I wonder what the name of this woman was in the fan translation. Because I'm wondering, is it Giselle Brett? I can see it. Wait, what? Shin. Yeah. It's Asashin, the true name of a terrifying killer I know only too well. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Watson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan conviction, the mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey. Are we so sure about this? Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss. No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Watson. Because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father. Asashin. I should let father know at once. Yes, I agree. I want to know if he has any sort of evidence substantiating that, though.
Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Asogi. You say he's a friend of yours.
My best friend. He's the whole reason I got to come to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him.
Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I defy demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father.
Genshin Asogi, the professor.
It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves.
Or, is that how they spell cancer in the UK? Is it cancer?
A cancer from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves.
I see.
But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zieks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damn Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? Despite of having once saved mine.
Huh. Are you sure he wasn't framed for the last one, then? He saved your life. How did that happen?
10 years ago, on a foggy night, what was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital.
So Clint Van Zieks had already been killed at this point, then?
Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden...
Don't make a peep. You're coming with us. Oh, this is the first time we're actually seeing, like, the full face of Genshin. Actually, no. Wasn't the mask, like, revealed earlier? This is just... Yeah. No, I'm stupid. Never mind.
We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already. Yeah, it's Van Zieks, all right. We got him! I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come. If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me. It was Asogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear.
Did he have a gun? Huh.
After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. 2 days later, they arrested him. On suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor.
How awful for you.
All at once, I lost the brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard.
So sorry, Lord Van Zieks. This is just leading me more to believe that I have no idea who the professor, like, actually is. Because it's like...
I don't know. In terms of, like, who we know, if Asogi wasn't actually the professor, I can only see it really being Strongheart himself. It makes sense, like, regarding his motives and everything, how he wants to, like, uproot the entire system and make it actually flow correctly. I can see it going with him. Jigoku, possibly. We don't know much about him, is the thing, so I can't really say whether he has any motives. Or maybe there's just someone else that I haven't met yet that would actually constitute his identity. Huh.
That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone.
Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. Still can't quite believe that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, given assassination orders to Giselle Brett. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information, but we don't have any sort of proof.
Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie! Hooray! Yippee!
Yes, alright. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then.
We can just say that this is who Van Ziek suspects, but again, nothing really definitive.
In some ways, this place seems to rather suit Lord Van Ziek. Oh, dear, did I say that out loud?
No, you're cooking. You're cooking. I believe you, 100%. Alright. Fresno Street Room. Alright. I doubt we're gonna find anything here, but it's worth checking. 2nd of November, room on Fresno Street. Just the picture is new.
Photograph of Mrs. Vigil.
Realizing the identity of this lady was a very great clue to exposing Mr. Gossip's true identity. He obviously loves his wife very dearly, which is why he felt he couldn't tell her the truth.
Transformation was incredible, wasn't it? Just from that big twisted lip.
Yes, he went to extraordinary efforts to play the part of Hugh Boone convincingly.
Although, it didn't really seem like it was much of an effort to me.
Now you say it, I have to agree.
It's almost as if that was Mr. Vigil's true character.
People really are very hard to fathom at times.
I can see it. Everyone has a little bit of gossip in them.
There are details of cases stretching back over 10 years on this notice board. Yes, a history of Lord Van Ziek's defeats in court.
I don't think that's an appropriate description. Although, when you consider everything on the board, it's certainly true that all these people had a background of dubious dealings.
In the end, of course, the board itself concealed the inspector's own death.
Oh my, it really doesn't bear thinking about.
I guess it also makes sense why the Reaper never really reached Soseki or Dobinbo ever. Because they had fled the country, and also the fact that Giselle Brett is also a little out of commission right now, to say the least. Oh, we can inspect the little key again.
I never imagined that this little figurine would turn out to be a watch-winding key. I suppose it's a policeman because the pocket watch was a gift from Scotland Yard. It seems there were much more to Inspector Gregson than we ever realized. He was clearly a brilliant man.
It's the fish and chips that threw us off. I feel as though it ruined his image.
I really don't think we should blame on one of Britain's staple cuisines.
Think about it. Imagine if it was Mr. Holmes. How would you feel if instead of that old briar pipe that's always in his hand, Mr. Holmes had a bag of chips?
Rather disappointed, if I'm honest.
Exactly. It's his own fault, I swear.
This revolver, just who does it belong to?
Well, we know it's of the type issued to members of the police force and judiciary. But Gregson's own gun was found on his person. And of course, Lord Van Ziek has admitted to losing the firearm with which he was issued. Such absent-mindedness, not dissimilar to you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Don't compare the two of us.
I'm starting to think the cold-hard prosecutor and I could become friends after all.
Then I wish you every success.
It's gonna take a while. It'll take a while.
Catches your eye.
Damn it.
Catches your eye as soon as you enter the room, doesn't it?
Such a bright color, it certainly makes an impression, yes?
can't possibly commit any crimes, can they? I mean, redheads stand out like a sore thumb. I'm afraid with our jet black Japanese hair, we stand out almost as much here in London. I suppose that's true. You mustn't think of committing any crimes, Mr. Naruto. I wasn't! I'm not! Maybe next time, because everyone here has brown hair, and some with blonde, at least. Using a candle as a timer device. Very ingenious, I must say. Yes, the culprit arranged it so that the firecracker would be set off at 5 o'clock and then left.
Yeah, that would have required a lot of testing beforehand, just to see, alright, how much of this candle needs to go down to reach at exactly 5?
So that a loud bang was heard at precisely the moment Lord Van Zieks arrived, yes. Only he hadn't picked up that gun from the floor. Something you probably told yourself once upon a time, I imagine?
Yes, I've learned that lesson by bitter experience. I would have turned and run a mile for sure.
Which may not have done you any favors either.
Lessons to be learned, kids. Do not pick up random guns on the floor. You will be implicated for a murder the very next moment. I guess that's one thing that Van Zieks and Naruhodo have in common now.
It turns out that Gregson didn't actually die in here at all. Where on earth could he have been killed? Well, one way or another, we must find out, for the inspector's sake. You know, you look awfully pale again today, Mr. Naruhodo.
Sorry. When I start thinking it all through, I conjure up some horrible images in my mind.
Your imagination's the culprit here, then. Most certainly guilty.
Surely. Alright, I think that's everything now. Very fun. We can go visit... We have permission now, let's play Cosmo visit. Yeah! Bestie! Nothing's wrong now, right? 2nd of November, prosecutor's office. Yep, there he be. Kazuma.
I thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Ryunosuke. I was right about what I said, wasn't I?
Sorry?
That you have all the makings of a great defense lawyer.
Well, I always believed that you'd fulfill your dream of advocating in the British courts. I just never imagined for one second that I would be as a prosecutor. Seeing you stand in a foreign courtroom, so gallantly realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama, I'm truly happy for you. Well, is it really his dream anymore?
I am truly thankful to you, Judicial Assistant Mikotoba. Ryunosuke, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake up the British legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisaged it, but I suppose it's just another twist of fate.
I've learned a lot of things during my time in London. About how Susato-san's father was himself a visiting student here once, along with Judge Jigoku. And about what happened with your father.
Then you'll have no difficulty understanding why I had no choice, why I had to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself.
I want to hear it from you, Kazuma.
As you wish, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Definitely Von Karma in there. But first off, I'm going to look at your office. There's Lord Van Zieks' incredibly stylish desk.
It's not my style, though.
No, I noticed you've been working at the little table on the floor, kneeling down Caesar style. I thought this was some kind of punishment set up by Lord Van Zieks when I first saw it.
I find it the most comfortable way to work.
I can't do it. After a couple of minutes of sitting with my legs folded under me, they start to go tingly.
Don't exaggerate, Ryunosuke. We both know you can't even manage a minute.
I'm glad to see that they still have the banter between them. Lord Van Zieks' fine collection of hallowed chalices and bottles, all neatly lined up.
Yes, he's extremely particular about all that. He has a strict regimen for everything, from the storage of the casks to the bottling of their contents.
Gosh, you must have a really tough time of it being his apprentice.
Actually, no. Oh? So particular about it all, he refuses to let anybody else touch any of it.
So it's been quite easy for me, in fact. Talk about weird. Fair enough, honestly. If he's so particular about them, why does he keep smashing them? Oh, my controller is starting to act a little funky. Some of the buttons aren't working. And it is all of a sudden drifting a lot, huh?
What the? Scale model of the crime scene.
Oh, yes, I realize that. Does the prosecution office make a model of the scene for every single case?
Apparently so.
Wait, actually? That's not just you being weird?
Sometimes it helps to visualize things better and notice things you hadn't spotted before. Actually, the miniature notice board is my work.
Be honest, you enjoyed making that. You definitely did.
Do you know who the man in the portrait is?
Why would I?
What? What? You're Lord Van Ziek's apprentice?
Yes, apprentice, not friend. And during the time I was suffering from amnesia, I didn't even notice that picture.
Oh, really? I mean, it's not the smallest picture.
I wouldn't have the first idea what the man decorates his office with.
I mean, I guess I'm not going to inquire more about it. Are we sure I can't investigate the chess set more? Nothing else around here. Do you take care of the bats? Doesn't seem so.
Ah! Disturb the bats, did you? Fitting companions of Lord Van Ziek's, wouldn't you say?
Actually, I've seen things flying in Lord Strongheart's office too. Doves, I think.
Perhaps you have to like birds to attain rank in the judiciary here. Although bats aren't birds, of course.
How about Sparrow for you?
I can see that fitting him, to be honest.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, nothing, sorry. Just thinking out loud.
Oh, come on.
Casts floor to ceiling, just like the last time we were here. Hallowed barrels, I suppose.
They're arranged according to vintage, flavor, and region. Every week, they're all taken out and put back in order.
What? Every week?
Lord Van Zieks can't seem to settle on the perfect way of arranging them, you see. Vintage, flavor, and region don't neatly coincide, that's the trouble.
Gosh, being his apprentice must be a real challenge. No, he's doing it himself.
Actually, no.
Oh.
He considers the task too important to entrust to anybody else, so he does it entirely on his own.
So he's a barrel of laughs here, and in court then. Barrel of monkeys. Alright, I think that's everything then. Your disappearance.
It's getting on for a year now, since what happened on the SS Boreas.
We were heading across the oceans from Japan to Great Britain, when a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events. I thought I'd lost my best friend forever.
I must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. It was a narrow little room. There was a posy of flowers by the pillow. It took me a little while to realize that I was in the cabin of a ship. I slipped out of the room and headed up onto the deck.
We were already suffering from amnesia at that point.
Yes. I didn't know what had just happened or where I was. There was just this voice in my head. You have something to do, something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain. Your task awaits you there.
The voice of his father.
It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. Out on deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship and we were docked in a large port.
Must have been Hong Kong.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it must have been. Presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship.
I had no idea of the situation, but I did have the feeling that this was in some way my last chance. So I concealed myself amongst the disembarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowded streets of that foreign port city, so I could plan my onward journey to Great Britain.
And how did that go exactly? I'm also surprised that they didn't at least lock you in your room.
Just under a year ago, with all my past memories lost to me, I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me. The sights, the sounds, the smells. My head reeled. I was truly at a loss. I realize now that I had escaped as a dead man, with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money, of course.
Oh, how terrifying for you.
Luckily, though, I had 2 feathers in my cap.
One being your knowledge of English, I suppose.
That's right. And on the back of that, I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on a cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived at Dover. That must have been some 3 months ago now.
Your formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. I mean, the man had lost his memory and literally had nothing to his name. But he still managed to make his way to London on the opposite side of the world.
Of course, I had no idea why I'd moved heaven and earth to get here at that point.
So, how did you end up becoming Lord Van Zeek's apprentice then?
That can only be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. You see, I was stopped at the border because I had no papers. They took me straight to Scotland Yard. And by sheer coincidence, Lord Strongheart was there to attend a meeting. That's when the second feather in my cap came into play.
Would that have been your knowledge of the law?
Yes, exactly. Lord Strongheart was curious about an Easterner with intimate knowledge of British law. He took me back with him to the Supreme Court and assigned me to the prosecutor's office.
And then, 9 days ago, you finally got your memory back after the trial involving Dreva.
Yes, I did.
I still think that Strongheart knew the entire time who he actually was. No doubt about it.
Ever since I first met you at Yume, you talked about your dream.
Mark my words, Ryunosuke. I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday.
Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here?
16 years ago.
Aw, look at the little baby!
When my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together the day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. But what I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. 6 years after he left, a gentleman called at our family home. He told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. It was Professor Mikotoba, your father, Susato-san.
Oh my.
Ever since then, the professor was very good to me. He even helped to fund my university education at Yume. I'll be forever in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe what he told me.
Oh.
Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life.
What did it say?
It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the Asogi name.
Oh no.
So, was it just hate mail from Van Zeeks?
As a result of that letter, I found out what had been hidden from me all those years. Presumably, the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. If whoever it was had been a member of the judiciary, he could have been present at the closed trial. The letter revealed that my father had been sentenced to death, executed for being a killer.
I'm so sorry you had to find out that way.
I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. But someone who knew the truth and couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem.
But still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing?
I'm just constantly thinking, like, did they have no one, like, check letters, like, at all? Huh. Like, especially during this time, like, between two nations that aren't even, like, completely in alliance just yet.
There was a newspaper cutting included with the letter. It was the first I'd ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree.
Well, what did my father have to say about the letter?
Couldn't bring myself to show it to him.
What? Why not?
Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me by telling me my father was taken by a fatal illness. That couldn't have been easy for him, and he'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jigoku.
To the other visiting student.
He faltered for the briefest of moments, but then he just laughed the letter off. But in that moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily before recovering his poise. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to the strain of grief, and she too passed away.
Damn.
That's when I made up my mind that one day, without fail, I would cross the seas to Britain and seek the truth for myself.
Well, you didn't exactly have anything holding you back anymore, huh?
The truth about my father, Genshin Asogi. I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way.
Oh, Kazuma-sama.
Reaper's trial, then. What we learned today in court turned things completely on their head. It was an impressive piece of lawyering. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Lord Van Zieks isn't the Reaper, you know. I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Inspector Gregson himself, the victim, was...
It's clear that the inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along.
You too, huh?
You mean you knew? Real question is, who's been giving orders to the inspector?
I suppose if it was actual orders to Gregson from, like, Strongheart, it would make a lot more sense to me. Because he's a man of duty, like, all things considered. Like, he can't stand for injustice, but he also loves taking orders.
Yes. Baroque Van Zieks is the real Reaper. And I know that 10 years ago it was him who decided my father must be a mass murderer and sent him to his grave.
No, he was merely seeing that justice was done as the law dictates. He's not to blame.
Ultimately, it's people who condemn people. The law is just a tool that they use to do it. But when a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain that my father would never have taken another man's life.
Kazuma.
On the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper.
Are we entirely sure about that? Alright, is there anything we want to even show him? Gregson's photograph? What do you make of this? Alright, nothing. The ID. Is that everything? Oh, right, my armband. How could I forget presenting this? Kazuma, this is your armband.
Actually, I think it's yours now.
Sorry?
You're the defense lawyer. You have a talent for it. I've always known that you would. And now, you've chosen to take that path in life. As your friend, I couldn't be happier for you, or more proud.
Kazuma!
So you keep hold of that. Besides, I'm a prosecutor now. That armband would have no meaning for me. Well, if you're sure.
Thank you, my friend. Can I at least have the sword then as well? What about Vigil? Alright, not the picture then? I can't present profiles either, so... I guess that's... Huh. I thought I asked him everything I needed to. Is there anything I haven't? Oh, the newspaper. I was shocked when they found out they were related to the case. The Red-Headed League, I mean.
Personally, it wasn't their plan to swindle everyone that surprised me. It was the fact that so many red-headed people gathered from all over London that day.
A certain great detective being among them.
I expect those two are in their cells as we speak, wishing they never dreamt up their little plan.
Or maybe they're busy plotting their next one. Letter of introduction? No. Dismissal notice? Nah. Frame photo? Handle? Policeman? What about this? I think you'd look dashing in this. He doesn't like wigs. Oh, wait. That was completely new.
The Reaper. At last I get to take my revenge.
Kazuma, Lord Van Zieks isn't responsible for your father's death, and he's not the Reaper. He's the defendant and deserving of a fair trial.
You mean, like the one my father had? It's a closed trial now, too. The conditions are exactly as they were 10 years ago. And even if it ruffles some feathers, I have a plan to show that man for what he really is.
You good, mate?
Kazuma.
Autopsy report? Right. Time of death. Look into that, please. This came up in the trial, didn't it? As something a little dubious, I mean. The fact that no time of death was recorded on Inspector Gregson's autopsy report.
Yes, there were some unexpected turns in the courtroom earlier. The suggestion you came up with certainly took everyone by surprise. The idea that the victim died the previous day at some other location is quite something.
Well, considering when the pocket watch had stopped and the scorch marks on the candle, it's certainly a distinct possibility. The evidence and the scene both point to it. Be honest, it bothered me too. So I paid a visit to the autopsy room earlier. The coroner responsible wasn't there, but I got a name. It's Dr. Gory. If it wouldn't trouble you, Kazuma-sama, we'd very much like to speak with the coroner too. Of course. The last thing I want is for anything to be brushed under the carpet. Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory is behind Lowgate Cemetery. Lowgate Cemetery? By Barclay Prison, you mean? Ah, you know it, do you? Prison where my father was incarcerated and robbed of his life. Kazuma-sama. Well, thank you. We'll pay a visit to the laboratory later today.
Alright, is that everything now? Yeah. I really hope that Kazuma isn't gonna be, like, forging evidence or anything like that. I doubt he would, but it's like, I don't want you to ruffle anyone's feathers, please.
Yunosuke, I want to thank you.
What for?
For this. You've safeguarded the soul of the Asogi clan.
Well, it is a famous sword that's been in your family for generations. My only slight regret is that I never got the chance to draw it before I returned it to you.
Haruma is said to have been forged by a master swordsmith during the Sengoku Warring States period. Come from a long lineage of warriors, many of whom were expert swordsmen.
Well then, you're a chip off the old block, I'd say.
This blade, Karuma, is a symbol of the Asogi clan's honor and might. Apparently, one of my father's apprentices even took the blade's name for a surname.
Okay, so he's not related to the Karmazal. That's funny though.
Really? Karuma? It does sound formidable, that's for sure.
16 years ago, when my father was a visiting student here in London, he had this sword forever at his side. Which is why it means so much to me that I have it by my side again now too. And that is all thanks to you.
It was an honor.
Can I draw it once? Pretty please?
Now, I have preparations to make for tomorrow. Perhaps I said a little too much.
Kazuma, you've changed.
No, Ryunosuke, I haven't changed at all. It's you who's changed.
Perhaps. I can completely understand your resentment of Lord Van Zieks given what happened. But the fact is, those events in this case are, well...
Unrelated, is that what you want to say? How can you be so sure?
What do you mean?
Never mind. That man is the Reaper, and it's for that reason that the inspector was killed. I'm going to prove as much in court tomorrow, by whatever means necessary.
Don't say whatever means necessary. Do not say the end justifies the means in this case. I'd rather not.
I can't let you do that, Kazuma.
I know you'll do what you have to as a lawyer, but I'm sure I don't need to tell you that I won't be taking any prisoners in the courtroom.
I would expect nothing less.
Until tomorrow, then, in the Old Bailey.
Alright. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to stop it there for today. I am getting very hungry, and I need to fill myself up. Man, this game's so good. I'm having so much fucking fun. It's just like, it keeps getting better and better with every single little thing. It's just like, oh man. I'm very happy with this. So, till next time, everybody, whoever's around, thank you very much for popping in. I will be back on Wednesday for more Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I don't think I'm gonna be able to stream tomorrow. So, also, the video that I've been planning on, I'll probably end up releasing it on Thursday, just so I can get back on schedule, considering the fact that I've had so many delays so far. I want to release my videos on Thursdays, from now on, because algorithm. And it'll also give me some time to get some preliminary work done the next video, because I have a good idea for what I want to do, and I think it's also going to take a little bit of more time than a week. So, I will see you guys then. You all have a good night. Bye-bye.